Framed 8. Chu Yi furrows up her brow. I told you I didn't steal it, what don't you understand? You really think your Snow clan is all that? My own household may not be comparable to yours, but I have Bai Yen on my side, so screw off with your accusations. Within the human world, the Holy Land stands at the peak with unmatched fighting force. However, that doesn't mean anything when matched against the various clans in the celestial realm. I care not who you have backing you, no power is above the Snow clan aside from the celestial palace. Now you dare insult my house? Snow Lotus angrily lashes out and points her fingers at the other girl. What are you all dazing around for still? Hurry and go tackle her so I can get the divine god pill back. The faces of the guards here had all turned green at that repeated order. Their faces showed how troubled they are and the fear circulating within their veins. What's going on? It's then at this moment, in the height of the confrontation, a low and mature voice cuts in from the rear. Snow Lotus became shocked by the sound, but that surprise quickly turned to nervous tension once she met Snow Hawk's iron-hard gaze. Timid and small in her voice, "Father, these people stole the divine god pill, that's why I came to get it back. You don't know, but this asshole's friend here insulted me. You must punish them for me." Snow Hawk's face got cold. The divine god pill got stolen? That's right. It must have been stolen by these people. The pill was perfectly fine until this woman came into our home. If it's not her, then who else can it be? Big sister. Snow Moon, who had followed her father into the room, stomps her feet in frustration. You can't spout things like that. Sister E is not that kind of person. Oh. Sounding sarcastic in her mocking voice, Snow Lotus only found it amusing in her younger sibling's rebuttal. And you know that how? You and her only met today. Why are you so certain about their personality? Or did you steal it or had them do it? You. Snow Moon made an incredulous face at being accused by her own family member. How did you become like this? You weren't such an unreasonable person before. Big sister, did cousin Wen Yi tell you stuff again? From the beginning, the young lass had never liked the guy, finding him too pretentious and fake on the surface. In fact, it's so bad that Moon would rather avoid the person even in her own home. That's how much of a negative view she had of this distant relative. You're trying to frame big cousin again. Snow Lotus's eyes saw red. Cousin Wen Yi is not what you all think of him. I know him better than anyone, so you can stop your persuasion now. Enough. Seeing how his two daughters are about to quarrel again, Snow Hawk rubs his forehead in pain and cuts them off. Lotus, I want to first know how you learned of the pill's disappearance. Biting her lip at the question, Father, it's my own doing. You won't give the divine god pill to cousin Wen Yi, that's why I wanted to steal it and give it to him. Yet when I went to grab the pill, I discovered it's been stolen. Originally, Snow Hawk thought it would be Wen Yi who had stolen the precious pill under their nose, but since his own daughter was going to do it anyways, then that suspicion became moot. Issue was, the chief here didn't consider his own daughter's idiotic nature. If he did, well, he would go investigate the guy anyways out of extra precaution. Miss, blinded now, Snow Hawk turns to Chu Yi with his frowning face. Is what my daughter said true? Chu Yi Feng won. Bai Zhao's expression got very icy then. Raising a hand to pull his friend behind himself like a pair of love birds trying to protect each other, he confronts the Snow clan. If your home experienced a theft, then go look for the thief out there, not here harassing an innocent woman. Also, we won't be staying any longer since it's clear we're not welcomed. Let's go, we're leaving. Okay. The princess stumbles to react, but reactively followed. It's just that. They had not taken step out yet before the guards surrounding their path and blocked the exit. Still having his back turned to the Snow Chief, Bai Zhao's temperament was also showing in a harsh manner. Chief Hawk, what is the meaning of this? Although I have not fully recovered from my injury yet, I can still walk on my own, so what reason do you have in stopping us? You misunderstood, Sir Xiao. I am not stopping you from leaving, but a theft has occurred within my home. Regardless of who they are, it's only proper that I investigate the matter and go over every individual that could be a suspect. Showing a light smile that neither roused hate nor kind feelings, someone come, send Miss Chu here to a guest room for rest. If we locate the thief, then we will naturally let her leave without issue. Although Snowhawk did not explicitly accuse Chu Yi of being a thief, it's nevertheless obvious to everyone he also suspected the Holy Land Princess to some degree. It couldn't be helped in this case. The coincidence of the item going missing the very first day she arrives was too perfect. Anyone with a sane mindset would also turn to this direction no matter how good their logic was. Of course, that's only because of Lotus's explanation from earlier. Otherwise, the Snow Chief here would instantly turn to Wen Yi instead. Father, Snow Lotus stomps her feet in frustration. Bai Xiao is also with her, they're part of the same group. I believe we should tie them up and send them to the punishment hall for disposal instead. Annoyed now after having his order questioned, you be quiet. Regardless of who stole the Divine God pill, you will marry him, so stop trying to wiggle your way out. This foolish daughter of mine, what am I going to do with her? This Bai Xiao has our family's ice lotus. Even if he did steal the Divine God pill, what of it? Does she expect me to really punish the boy when he's going to be your husband soon? Are you sure you want to touch her? Bai Xiao reaches over to grasp onto the Holy Land Princess's hand, his face stern and unyielding. Before in the human world, whether it be strength or background, Chu Yi had always done the protecting, and now it's her turn to be protected by the man. One literally sees the sweet honey-dovey eyes in the girl right now as she stood behind him. So this is how it feels to be protected by the one they like. It's not bad at all, I like it. Someone come, bring Miss Chu to her room. Snowhawk got louder since none of his people had moved yet. Father! Snow Moon, the younger daughter, immediately protests. She's getting extremely anxious and red in the eye. Sister will never do something like stealing from us. Father, you... Shut up for me. The chief swiftly stops her with that scold. Compared with Snow Lotus, his eldest, he much prefers this younger one since she's smart and hardworking. But love was love. He also must put into consideration of the entire clan as a whole, so he mustn't act solely on his own feelings in this incident. Chu Yifeng too, I won't be quiet. Snow Moon angrily shouts back. Father, sister is not that kind of person, you are wronging her. If you continue to do this, then you will regret it in the future. Snowhawk's frowning face only got worse due to the displeasure of having his decision repeatedly questioned. Guards, go bring my second daughter back to her room. She's not to leave the room unless I say so. This means that he's going to put Snow Moon under house arrest, which showed in the stream of tears flowing down the panicking girl's face as she was dragged away. I don't want this. I don't want to leave. Father, you can't do this. You can't do this to Sister Ji. She continues to sob and cry out. Chu Yi instinctively wanted to help in the way her hands were clenching up. However, this princess also knows what the consequences of her own rash actions would mean in this case. She's seen through this chief already. Family bonds? Sure, he might have some, but that bond pales in comparison to being the head of this household and all those who follow him. Heck, she's certain if the situation comes to shove, he would even sacrifice his own daughters if it meant the prosperity of the clan as a whole. Xiao Xiao, grasping onto the young lad's hand as she spoke, Bai Yan will come save us, so don't let this get to you. Huang Xiaoying and Lan Xiaoyan had already left to find the demon queen. Once she gets word of their predicament, that proud woman would surely come running. I know my sister will come, but I fear we won't have the time to wait for her. The lad forms a helpless smile. In another few days I will fully recover and could fight our way out, but it's unlikely they will give us the chance until then, nor do I want you to endure this indignation for my own sake. Chu Yi was a person whom his older sister highly valued. How could he bear to make her suffer in his place? So, even if his strength hasn't been restored yet, he would still fight in order to not let them take her away. Chief Hawk, you are likely not aware of what I said to these guards to make them back off earlier, so I'll repeat myself for your sake. If you lay a hand on my friend, I will immediately destroy the Millennium Ice Lotus within my body. I will do what I say, don't doubt my words. There's no fear or indecision in the young man, only strength and a drive to continue moving forward in life. Snowhawk's face got even uglier as he narrowed in on the lad. Are you threatening me? Take it however you like. Don't assume I don't know what you are thinking. Cocking a smirk in his face, aren't you only pairing me up with your daughter because you want me to stay at the Snow Clan for the rest of my life? Don't try to say otherwise. I know as much as you do on what it means for the ice lotus to take root within my body. To think you would rather sacrifice your own daughter's happiness just to have her take half of the powers given to me by the ice lotus, you sure are a thoughtful father indeed. Snowhawk's facade of being stern and mighty finally crumbled at his plot being exposed. Yes, he wants Lotus to marry Bai Xiao because the ice lotus works exactly in that fashion. Once mated, the pair could never be separated since their powers are shared. By then there wouldn't be any cause for revenge since the association has been made. Right now all that remains was the look of astonishment from the chief's eye. How did he know about this? Only the chief of each generation would know about this secret. Why does he know what the ice lotus entails for the female partner? Father, is what he said true? Snow Lotus swung around and locked onto her old man's stunned face. Is this the reason why you want me to marry him? You know I like Big Cousin the entire time. I never cared for talent or strength. Why must you force me when Moon is around too? She could have done so in my place. Sure, she's a bit young, but you could have waited a few years before making the marriage proposal. Chu Yifeng, 3, shut up. Snowhawk snaps and yelled at his daughter. In a few years? A few years is all it needs for this young man to grow strong enough to overcome our control, and then what? What leverage do we have to make him marry Moon at that point? This dumb daughter of mine is so frustrating at times. If she wasn't so easy to control then I wouldn't even consider her. Moon is smart, but she's also much more difficult to manipulate for the clan's sake. You're all shameless. Chu Yi jumps out from behind Bai Xiao and yelled out in exasperation. Xiao Xiao is a dragon that soars through the sky, not some fish in a small pond. He will never be used by the likes of you. Snowhawk simply sneered at the outcry. Sir Xiao, I know my eldest daughter's temperament isn't the greatest around, but the arrangement is also mutually beneficial. My Snow clan may not be the strongest in the celestial realm, but it's still a first-rate power. Aside from the celestial palace itself, there are no other forces out there that could make us fear them. As long as you become my son-in-law, power and wealth will easily be within your reach. Why go out on your own when you can easily obtain a lifetime's worth of wealth in mere moments? Bai Xiao chuckled at that temptation, and if I don't agree? No, I do not believe you will disagree. Snowhawk appeared so confident in the way he spoke that it's hard to disagree. I admit, I care a lot for the Ice Lotus, mainly because it's our clan's treasure for generations and a vital part of our strength. If you must insist on leaving us and taking the Ice Lotus away, then I'm sorry, but I would rather it be destroyed than to fall into an outsider's hand. You cannot blame me for wanting to secure what's ours to begin with, can you? Unfazed by the open threat there, I cannot blame you for that, I agree. However, one point in your argument is incorrect. The Ice Lotus, it's mine to begin with. I'm the original owner. Please don't make me laugh with that joke, Sir Xiao. Everyone knows the Ice Lotus has been in my family for centuries already. How can it be yours? Honestly, this is the first time I've ever heard of such a shameless claim. Chuckling coldly now that things have come this far, guards, secure both my daughter and him. Lotus must marry him tonight. As long as they finish doing their thing tonight in bed, then everything is sealed. Father! Out of panic, Snow Lotus subconsciously took a few steps back because she never expected the situation to turn out this way. She only wanted to get the Divine God pill back, not be forced to have sex tonight. Moreover, how can Father believe this asshole is more talented than Big Cousin? If they swapped position, then Big Cousin's achievement would surely exceed this guy's. Bai Xiao lowers his gaze. I will stop them from touching you. Leave first while I keep them busy. Once you find my sister, then return. Don't worry, I will be all right. Shaking her head after hearing that, I don't know where Bai Yan is. Regardless, Xiao Yun have already left to find her. You still have injuries on you, I can't just leave you behind. If only Di Xiao Yun was here, then she could probably overcome everyone here with her strength. She will certainly have a way to deal with these bastards. Leave. Snowhawk huffs a grunt and stepped forward. Neither of you can leave. In this snow realm, my people are everywhere, don't think about escaping. Swish. Drawing their swords, the guards quickly surrounded the pair at the center. Bai Xiao didn't hesitate in the slightest. He may be weaker right now, but he's not powerless. Drawing his own sword, the young man pounced at the men that swinging their blades. If it was in the past, then he could easily pummel these people, including the chief here, but he's far too injured from the last battle. Exactly then. Chu Yifeng for Grar. Suddenly, a massive roar of a tiger's howl blasts over from the back of the group, causing Snow Hawk to hesitate for a brief moment and allowing the three-striped tiger to pounce at him. Those claws extended and lethal as it cuts into the man's arm from that swipe. Chu Yi, are both of you all right? Huang Xiaoying jumps off the three-striped tiger's back and hurried over to examine her companion. How come you are back? Where's Xiaoying? Where's Bai Yan? The Holy Land Princess urgently asks after seeing it's only the tiger and girl who had come. I felt uneasy not long after we departed, so I came back with Tigerly. My instincts have always been good, so I didn't want to risk it. But I did tell Xiaoyan to continue on with the direction I've given her. I'm sure she will reach the queen real soon. Pursing her lip, the tigress sighed in relief knowing she's made it in time. It's clear that if she had come even a moment later in this case, Bai Xiao would have undoubtedly been seriously injured there with that hit. Damn beast, I'm your master. How dare you help these outsiders to hurt me? Snow Hawk snaps, his anger ready to explode as the pain continued to sting from the arm. The big tiger didn't cower and instead issued a ferocious low growl in retaliation of that remark. He's been in the Snow clan all his life, never once has Snow Hawk been kind to him. If not for Snow Moon taking care of him, the poor thing would have been living a life of hell, hence his strong kinship to Huang Xiaoying, who had stopped him from going berserk on the young lass earlier today. How dare you growl at me? Ignoring the others in the room, the outraged chief attacks the tiger in full. He won't kill Bai Xiao or Chu Yi until he knows she's the thief, but a demonic beast was another deal. As the most powerful man in this snow realm, he won't be insulted by a mere animal who had swiped at him. Careful! Huang Xiaoying became shocked, throwing herself over to the tiger to help only to be a step too late. The wind blade from Snow Hawk's sword lifted the three-striped tiger out, sending the poor animal flipping into the air and slamming heavily into the courtyard. There's now a scar running across its chest. Even so, the big cat doesn't yield despite the stream of blood coming out and threw himself at the man once again. The mindset of demonic beasts has always been stubborn and simple. If he knows you're good to him, then he would protect you at all costs, and if you're bad to him, then he'd rather die than to be subjected to such humiliation. Tigerly! Suddenly, an exclaiming cry came from the direction of where Snow Moon departed earlier, thus causing a pause in that hit. Nevertheless, the recoiling force alone was enough to send the tiger flying out again and leaving him paralyzed on the floor in pain after smashing against a wall. Tigerly! Tears burst into the second daughter's eye as she rushed over to protect her faithful friend with outstretched arms. She had just snuck back out from her room when she saw this occur, so it struck the young girl heavily to see her own loved ones committing such cruel acts. You mustn't hurt him. Snow Hawk's face sank into a dark plume. It's only an animal. You would raise your hands at your own father because of it? How dare you go against me after all I've done for this family? Chu Yifeng, 5. Tigerly is not an animal, he's my friend, and he's my partner. Trembling in her small figure, Snow Moon clearly became agitated by that remark. You never allowed me to make friends since I was little, always forcing me to train from dawn to dusk. I know you and the rest of the family doesn't like him, always picking on him and refusing to play with him, but he's my most important partner. I won't allow anyone to hurt him, I will not. Shut up. Snow Hawk's fist started to make a crackling sound due to the pressure he made as he swept his gaze over to the guards. Did I not say she's not allowed to come out? Who let her come out? Hanging their head in guilt. Chief, the second miss threatened to commit suicide if we don't let her out. Get out of my sight. The man became outraged as he locked onto his second daughter. I won't allow my daughter to be held hostage by a demonic beast. Before I didn't know you cared so much for that animal, but now I do, so it's time I handled the matter. Either you drive it away and he lives, or he stays and I kill him today. Choose now. I don't want this. Snow Moon turned and grasped onto her three-striped tiger's collar. I don't want to leave Tigerly. If he goes, I'm leaving too. It seems that I have been too tolerant of you as of late. letting you grow such unruly behavior. Also, stop thinking about whimsical thoughts. You are my daughter, you must stay here to protect the Snow clan for life. And this demonic beast, I am not going to let it stay. That said, Snow Hawk's murderous gaze fell upon the tiger who had no means to retaliate. Tigerly could tell his fate was likely be sealed today. Turning to face the young lass, he licks the palm of her hand in unbearable sadness of their impending separation. Enough! Chewie finally couldn't take this sad picture and spoke up, "Are you even a father? What father wouldn't love their daughter? Do you have even the slightest consideration for her own feelings?" The princess grew up under her father's favor, so this sort of family structure astonished and baffled the lady to no ends. In her view, family should be kind and loving to one another, not this sort of tyrannical structuring where one must obey the will of the older. It's none of your business on how I lecture my daughter. Snow Hawk just brushed it off with a huff and turned to the side where the guard stood. What are you all waiting around for? I don't care what sort of fuss she makes. Do not let my second daughter leave her room again. Meanwhile, at the same time atop of a snowy mountain peak, Lan Xiaoyan had just tripped over a branch and nearly fell off a cliff. She's cold, extremely tired, and most importantly, lost and clueless as to where she was exactly. After the tigress left after saying she got a bad premonition, this poor human girl had been walking in a single direction. If the terrain was flat, then this wouldn't be a problem, but there are mountains here. Before she knew it, the poor lady had climbed a peak and gotten herself cluelessly lost aside from following the sun to make her way through. Yan Yan's younger cousin? This voice didn't sound unfamiliar to her ear, but it didn't ring any bells either. However, that picturesque face once she turned upwards to the sky left her tearing up with great fortune. Why are you crying? The man floating in the clouds frowned, his voice indifferent yet surreal. Sir Yifeng, excited in her voice due to the flaring hope that fell into her lap, you need to hurry and save Yi, she's in trouble. Right now she's inside the Snow Clan's estate. And cousin Bai Xiao is also there. Chu Yifeng's expression sank into a stern look that he almost never showed. This only occurs when it involves people he's close to, and even then it's a rare thing. Disappearing like the wind, he's true to his name that comes like the wind and disappears like the wind. Not long after the guy had left, another familiar voice reached out again and causes the human girl to become ecstatic. Xiaoyin, how come you are here in this icy mountain? Chu Yifeng and Bai Yan's arrival? 1. Cousin Bai Yan, she couldn't control the tears that swelling outward of those eyes after seeing who had come. Taking a few steps forward, Lan Xiaoyun didn't hesitate in throwing herself into the Demon Queen's arm after all the trouble she's been through. Cousin, I miss you so much. You have to go save Bai Xiao, he is being held against his will. Instantly, from that perplexed face of finding her relative in this frostbitten land, Bai Yan's expression had turned grimly dark. What happened? Tell me right away. Wiping the corner of her eye to remove the fluid, she quickly went over the encounter at the Snow Clan and how things aren't looking good. Yan Yan. Di Song sweeps his wife into his arms then and made his iconic smile before a bloodbath occurs. Lead the way, I want to see the sort of people who would dare touch my brother-in-law. Compared with the calm of the snowy mountains, the Snow Clan was experiencing a crisis of its own from within the ranks. By this point Snow Moon had been roped up and being dragged away for the second time. She struggled and struggled of course, but her strength paled in comparison to all these good fighters of the family. As for Tigerly the three-striped tiger, he's too injured to even get up, only able to make several whimpering cries from the throat as he watched on from the ground. What a foolish animal! Snow Hawk snorted at the fruitless struggle before shifting his attention back to the reason he's here. Bai Xiao acted in accordance with this by pulling Huang Xiaoying and Chu Yi behind himself. He's ready to fight despite his weakened state. Chief Hawk, you are certain about not letting us go today? Know that I will never marry your daughter even if I stay. The young man's cold, heartless words were like swords stabbing into Snow Lotus's heart. If at first the eldest daughter only believed Bai Xiao was trying to win her over by playing hard to get, then now she's certain he truly despises herself. She's dumb, not stupid. She could at least read the situation when things have evolved to this point. Father, just let him go if he doesn't want to marry me. I already have someone I like, a far better one. It's simply baffling to me how he can be so high and mighty despite being so powerless. Guards, take my eldest away as well and summon the matchmaker. I want Lotus changed into her wedding gown for tonight. Snowhawk doesn't even bother responding to her oldest daughter and instead began ordering the rest of the guards to move. As for Sir Xiao here, get him the wedding garb from the storage. If he resists, lock his 2 female friends away. I like to see him resist then. Lotus's complexion got dreadfully white then, but as she gnawed on her own tongue in frustration, the girl suddenly got another idea in mind. I need to find a way to escape tonight. I will never have sex with that asshole. Even if I marry, I will only marry Big Cousin. The 2 of you leave now. Bai Zhao's eyes grew grim as he lashed at the nearest guard with a punch. Grabbing both girls by the waist, he forcefully tossed them into the sky. This was the only opening he could see with the divided attention from the Snow Chief, so he took it. Chu Yifeng and Bai Yan's arrival, too. Forget about the Snow Clan members here, not even Chu Yi or Huang Shaoying expected the young man to pull this trick. Staring at him, the Holy Land Princess reactively wanted to reach out and grab his arms to only slip those dainty fingers across that shoulder sleeve in the last moment. Catch them! Snowhawk glowered as he ordered the men to move it. Ignoring the fact that Chu Yi might be the thief here, the mere fact that the only weakness of the young lad was these 2 ladies was enough to make Chief Hawk capture them. By using the 2 as hostage, he could easily manipulate the guy into sleeping with his daughter afterwards. If you want to catch them, then you better step over my dead body. Bai Xiao blocked the pursuers with his figure, that sword in his hand pointing at whoever attempted to draw closer. Unfortunately, the young guy never did fully heal from his injuries. When he moved, so did Snowhawk, who locked onto him. Following a palm strike to his chest, the guy stumbles backwards and spewed blood from the mouth. Bai Xiao, is she your lover in the way you protect her? Snowhawk casually comments, her strength is so mediocre, likely not from any noble house or clan. Why are you so insistent on being with such a mundane female when my Snow Clan far exceeds her worth? A frown naturally formed on the young man's face at the misunderstanding, but he's not going to correct the chief either. Huffing a grunt, he continues to keep a wary pose. And my relationship is none of your business. Also, I will never be forced into any form of marriage. No one can dictate my future. Bang. Striking out once again with his palm after that retort, Snowhawk knew his words wouldn't do anything, so he intends to use force to do the talking. Yet despite increasing his power in that hit, the recoiling force only made the young man take 2 steps back before stopping. Naturally, blood leaked from the corner of Bai Zhao's mouth at his injury becoming more severe, but the stubborn pride in his eyes and face never relented. Don't look down on me. I may not be able to defeat you lot today, but don't think I will submit to your whims just because I'm losing. If you want to kill me, then go ahead. I will never sleep with your daughter. Snow Lotus was being dragged away when she overheard that shout. Like any young maiden, being disregarded to such a degree would undoubtedly make them flush with embarrassment. In the heat of the moment, this foolish girl actually broke free from the constraints of her 2 restrainers and ran up to the guy and slapped him across that handsome face. If it were in the past, then Lotus wouldn't even be able to get close to the boy, let alone slap him. But now, Bai Zhao's exhausted and suffering from a double injury, just about anyone could come hit him as they please because merely standing there required most of his energy to support the feat. Get this, you asshole. It's me who don't want to marry you, not you not wanting to marry me. Who do you think you are? I am the eldest daughter of the Snow Clan, a woman beloved by hundreds in this land. You are nothing but an orphan without family or background. Don't go running your mouth like you're all that when you're not. In the eye of this pompous lady, only she's allowed to refuse the marriage of others and not the other way around. Imagine this news being spread across the city. It would cause irreparable damage to her reputation, you know. Not the least bit annoyed by that outburst, the teen here only licked the corner of his lip to remove some of the blood. Then turning to Lotus, his eyes radiated a cold, bristling ice storm that shocked the blasphemous girl back like she's actually there in person. Before your family saved me when I fell unconscious, I wanted to repay that debt using my own means, but now, I owe you all nothing. The way Bai Xiao carried a heavy note, showing how repugnant he was starting to feel about this place. Chu Yifeng and Bai Yan's arrival. 3. He's no longer able to resist. Go. Frowning in his face, Snow Hawk gives the command and slowly turns around to have his back facing the young man. He doesn't want to continue watching this sad sight despite being one of the reasons causing it. It's just that his words did not get to finish when a fierce piercing wind emerged from another side. Before he could react, a long sword had already gone into Bai Zhao's chest and out through his back. Blood oozed out as a result of this lethal wound, dyeing the white robe of the young man red. After the initial pause due to how sudden this occurred, an unbridled level of rage gushed forward from the chief's heart. With cracking fists and popping veins, he yelled, "What are you doing?" "Uncle, I heard this boy stole a Dan pill from the estate and dared to resist. Such a person will never be trustworthy. It's best we kill him now before he destroys us all when he's strong enough." That said, when the scum who was in fact the real thief here draws his sword out, leaving the wounded Bai Zhao to suffer a second injury as the blood rained out like a fountain. There's nothing but blur left in Bai Zhao's vision as he tumbled forward. Then as his consciousness slowly faded away, a light blue figure quickly dashed over and caught him mid-fall before he hits the ground. Didn't I tell you to go?" He weakly mutters upon recognizing that familiar face upon close contact. "I said I won't go, I won't ever leave you, I would rather die with you before then. Even if I die, I'm going to die with you." Bai Zhao had trouble getting a full look at the Holy Land princess, but he could sense the intense emotion in that voice. When exactly did that happen? Why do I sense such strong love from her voice? Did she always feel that way towards me? Father, this is not Cousin Wen Yi's fault, he's only looking out for the Snow clan. Snow Lotus didn't care for the dying boy and instead ran up to Wen Yi to act as his shield using her own body. She's afraid this momentary pause would bring the attention back to her lover. "Humph, I'll dispose of you later. Bai Zhao won't last much longer, you and him must do the deed now." Snow Hawk has seen many things in life, so he knew this was the time to act lest he miss the opportunity. As for the one responsible for this tragedy, he has every intention to kill Wen Yi afterwards for this mess. "Yes, Chief." 2 of the estate guards got the hint and began to move over to pull the Holy Land princess away. Chu Yi ignored them, of course. She could care less for what others want and started to bring out the Dan pills from her storage bag and stuffed it into Bai Zhao's mouth. Unfortunately, these restorative pills were all made by Bai Yan during her time in the human world. It's not effective for someone that's at this level. "I'm not leaving him, you better kill me first before I let go." Finding her efforts futile, she directly wound her arms around the guy's shoulder to keep contact, those eyes blazing with hatred for the men around. Snow Hawk remains indifferent to the tearful outcry, of course. If she won't let go, then beat her until she does. That's all these bastards needed. Finding a stick nearby, they began to hit the princess from all angles. Bruises quickly developed across the girl's body as the hits continued to rain down. It hurts, but when her eyes met with the fading light in Bai Zhao's, the material pain paled in comparison to the stinging helplessness in the heart. "I won't leave him even if I die today." "Stop, all of you stop now." Wang Xiaoing the tigress had been standing at the entrance the entire time. The queen's brother got stabbed? How did this happen? These people dare to hurt Her Highness's brother? With that thought in mind, this lady roars out and transforms into her bestial form, pouncing at the guards with her claws leveled at their necks to stop them from beating her friends. Chu Yifeng and Bai Yan's arrival. 4. Snow Hawk didn't expect the second girl to be a demon, so he became quite taken aback there by her transformation. However, his initial shock quickly subsided after seeing the trouble this tigress was causing by stopping his men from beating Chu. Getting dark in the face, this chief raises a hand and attacks the tigress from the rear. Wang Xiaoing hit the ground hard from that sneak attack. Even so, she immediately pounced back up due to the heat in her eye and rushed the group, attacking Bai Zhao and Chu Yi a second time. Meanwhile, outside the snowy city's gate, Bai Yan and the others were rushing over at their fastest speed towards the estate when they overheard the tigress's sorrowful roar. "Ian Shower, something must have happened." Chu Yi again spewed a mouthful of blood from the mouth due to the last hit from the rod, But no matter how hard these people tried to pry her away, she refuses and clung even harder to the young man's body. You go, let go of me and leave on your own. Bai Xiao didn't fare any better as the blood continued to drain from his veins. He wanted so direly to do something, but he couldn't even lift a finger anymore. That's how powerless he was at the moment. This truly turned out into a mess. Damn it, if Bai Xiao doesn't sleep with Lotus soon, then all this trouble will all be for naught. Snow Hawk never intended to kill anyone in this matter, but as the situation spiraled out of his control, it simply wound up like this. It didn't help either that Snow Lotus and Wen Yi was pushing the problem from the rear in their own way. Miss, I advise you to let go, otherwise I'll have to use a tougher approach. The chief attempts to salvage the last bit's sanity from all this with that persuasion. Chui didn't care, only weakly muttering to the air, I'm not going to leave him. If he goes I go, if he dies I die. Xiaoying, I'm afraid I can't hold on anymore. Bai Yan comes, help me tell her to bury me together with Xiao Xiao. That's my only request. I'm sorry, father. I'm sorry, brother. I can't be with you anymore. Gradually closing her eyes in acceptance, the past images of her friends and family flashes before the mind and brought a sad, pitiful smile along those lips. It's just a pity. I will never see them again. Suddenly, a familiar and gentle voice cuts through the noise in this courtyard, sending the Holy Land princess into a momentary trance like she's hearing illusions. But it quickly dawned on her, this was no dream. Shooting open her eyes, the girl looks up toward the source in where voice originated. White robe, raven black hair, a picturesque handsome face that she would recognize anywhere and anytime, Chui knew she was saved. Throwing herself into those arms after the man landed, Big brother, it hurts. She's the little witch of the Holy Land, when has she ever been beaten? You. Snow Hawk had long noticed this new arrival before everyone else, but his body wouldn't allow him to move like he's been petrified. In fact, the aura coming off of Chu Yifeng was so strong that his heart started to panic and made him want to back off. Make no mistake, Chief Hawk was by no means a weak individual. He's long become demi-divine lord and could be comparable to a keeper in terms of strength. Despite this fact, he felt minuscule before the handsome man that just landed on the ground. How strong is this person exactly? Chu Yifeng and Bai Yan's arrival, 5. But then his attention quickly shifted to the way Chu Yi addressed the guy. She called him, Big brother? How can it be? How can this woman have a brother who is more powerful than me when she's so weak? Big brother, help Xiao Xiao. I can't do it, please save him, I don't want him to die. Chui did not wait for Chu Yifeng to speak and tugged at his sleeve for help, her eyes tearfully crying, take him to Bai Yan, I know she can save him. As long as there's a breath in him, Bai Yan will be able to bring him back, I'm sure of it. Shower. The abrupt voice sounded urgent and filled with panicking fear when it reached the princess's ear. Recognizing it but still having trouble believing it's true, Chu Yi rigidly looks up to find a woman rapidly flying over to their spot in the courtyard. Bai Yan is here, Xiao Xiao is saved. After landing on the ground, Bai Yan wasted no time to assess the situation by glancing over to Snow Hawk and his men. But her sharp glaring gaze soon fell upon the pool of blood around the young man on the floor, and that made her heart tense up like a hand just ripped it apart. The Demon Queen could literally faint if not for the urgent desire to help. Shower. Leaping over to the spot, the Demon Queen smoothly pulls the young man into her arms to feed a pill she readily summoned from the storage ring on the finger. The effects were near instantaneous, stopping the flowing blood from that wound. Sadly, it's not anywhere close to being enough to save the young man. He's still deathly pale and grim to the eye like he's about to lose his breath at any minute. This isn't enough, Shower's injury is too severe. If I want to fully heal him, then I will need to refine a Badadan Dan pill. I don't have the key ingredient Snow Blossom on hand. There are some on the Sky Mountain though, but... Visong, go summon all the demons nearby to look for the herb. Bai Yan wanted to commit murder due to the anger swelling from within, so her words there were a bit erratic. It's normal to lose her cool, anyone would, especially when her brother's life was something she vowed to protect, and now she's failing it at the highest level. Yifeng, Bai Yan may have lost her cool but the sane part of her head remains. Realizing she's too heated and needs to calm down to approach this with a level-headed mindset, the Demon Queen throws another pill over to Chu Yifeng. Give that to Yi, it will heal her bruises and internal injury. I like to see who would have the nerve to hurt my people. Boom. Snowhawk's brain became rocked by an explosive flash to the past. The reasoning? It's because on the moment Bai Yen and Di Tsong appeared from the sky, he already started to remember why he felt the name to be so familiar. Not long ago when the Celestial Palace summoned all the demi-divine lords to attack the Demon City, he too was part of that assaulting force. It's there on that day that he met this woman in red. Exposed 1. Who are you? Snow Lotus did not notice the nervous behavior of her own father, so she was very eager to get in their faces. Oh, what the heck, just take him away so we can be done with this. I will never marry this fatherless orphan, do you hear me? Bai Yan's expression got exceptionally frosty at the last tidbit about her brother being called an orphan. Turning to confront the wretched girl, her eyes nailed the other person firmly at the spot. She's Bai Zhao's older sister, Bai Yan. Chu Yi, the Holy Land princess, had recovered by now, so she also became eager to get back at the other person. And why wouldn't she? The little witch of the Holy Land doesn't take insults lying down, not before and not now. Didn't I say so earlier? Your entire Snow Clan is finished once Bai Yan is here, ha! What? Blood literally drained from Snowhawk's face in real time, causing his fist to tremble violently due to the horror. Demon Queen Bai Yan, she's Demon Queen Bai Yan, what have we done? Why does that Bai Xiao have such a dangerous sister? This is over, the Snow Clan is doomed. I don't care who you are, you better take your brother and get lost. Even if my father wants me to sleep with him, I will refuse. Snow Lotus does understand Bai Xiao doesn't want to marry herself, but she's too proud, too egotistic to accept that reality, hence the reason on why she kept insisting about that detail to make herself feel better. Shut up. Snowhawk snaps, slapping his eldest daughter across the face using a sizable amount of his strength. Getting all bruised up in the cheek, the crying girl didn't understand why her old man would hit her, so she's extremely aggrieved in the face. Father, still shaking all over, the chief wanted to smack her a second time there but was swiftly stopped by Wen Yi the thief from the side. Uncle, you are too cruel to Lotus. Despite knowing these people are the one who stole the Divine God pill, you still want to marry her to that guy? Do you not have any love for your own daughter? All she wants is a man who is willing to stand on their own 2 feet. Why must you force her into something she doesn't want? Much less someone that only knows how to rely on the Snow Clan's influence to reach a higher height. If it hadn't been for Snowhawk already reaching his limit in the amount of outrage he could release, the middle-aged man would never allow Wen Yi to spout such crap before Bai Yan. Sadly, it's already too late by the time he attempted to stop this. Growing increasingly more fearful and urgent, the chief turns to find Bai Yan slowly coming over to his location like a menacing demonic being ready to slash down with a scythe. Di Tsong, can you take care of my brother for me? I want to personally handle the matter here today. Back when they were powerless and weak, it was always Bai Xiao who protected her. Now, it's time she did something for the younger brother. Exposed, too, Di Tsong readily picked up this brother-in-law from his wife's arm after that request. He has no issue with caring for this relative and happily nodded before giving all of these walking corpses a meaningful smirk. He knows, whatever's going to happen would be far worse than what he had intended for them. Eradication would be the least of their worry. After all, there are fates worse than death, and in this case with his wife that's only the bare minimum of what she could dish out. Who did you say stole a Dan pill? Bai Yan asked with the most hair-raising smile one could make. Miss Bai. Snowhawk knew where this conversation was headed and wanted to explain themselves. Unfortunately, the guy's sentence didn't even get to finish when it suddenly got cut off by that cold, hard glare from the Demon Queen. It's as if someone gripped him by the throat and sucked the air out of that lung, which elevated the initial fear and shock to utter despair. Speak, who stole a Dan pill? Bai Yan continued to ask with a higher level of intensity as she threatened those around. Wen Yi also felt the momentum and fell backwards a few steps, but then this thief quickly recalled the fact that they are in the Snow Clan's estate and regained some of his composure. Answering bravely, it is that young lass over there who stole the Divine God pill. She and your brother are a group together, that makes him her accomplice. Bai Yan sneered. They are my family, why would they need to steal someone else's Dan pill, let alone some measly divine god pill? After saying that, the demon queen roughly pulled out a bottle and uncapped it by popping the cork. Pouring the content out onto her palm, she readily tossed the bunch out towards the tigress to one side. Divine god pill? Those are all divine god pills. Snowhawk may not be an alchemist, but he's been holding on to that one pill for a while already so he could recognize the shape and color at first glance. Despite the high value the pills had, Huang Xiaoying could care less and leaped into the air to gulp down those sweet candies. She's a demon, so these precious alchemic products are food for her. In my case, divine god pills are no more than snacks to feed a pet, yet you claim my brother and sister stole it off your hands? Bai Yan's derisive smirk was daggering, stinging these people like their pride just got trampled upon. Taken aback for a split second, when Yi wasn't going to be beaten so easily considering his own fraudulent nature. And you expect us to believe those are divine god pills just because you say so? If it wasn't them, then who else could have done the theft? He intended to have Chu Yi bear the blame, so he's not going to back down no matter what. Someone merely has to be the scapegoat, that's all he needs. Bai Yan. Chu Yi tightly grasped onto her sleeve then by running over. It's this guy who stabbed Xiao Xiao earlier. Exploding with an air that sent her hair flying out into an almost ghostly fashion, this demon queen didn't think twice and rushed at the thief. Smashing her fist into Wen Yi's chest and making an audible bone-cracking sound, she sends him flying out like a rocket in the next. But there's no way that would be enough. With a single step, Bai Yan disappears in a flash and reappears before the guy to pick up his arm. Crunch. With that sound, she snaps the guy's elbow backwards into a 180 degree in the wrong way. All these people could hear in the air now were the heart-wrenching scream of agony and pain that echoed across this courtyard due to the howling cry from Wen Yi's throat. Cousin Wen Yi. Snow Lotus got deathly white at this cruel display of ruthlessness. She wanted to run over and help, but the demon queen's following glance sent her shivering like a predator just locked onto her soul. Not wanting to waste time on the ignorant, Bai Yan turns back down to her screaming patient of pain. So you are the one who hurt my brother? Ha! I will make sure you experience a fate worse than anything I've ever committed in this life, don't you worry. That said, this flaming fiery scanned the crowd to make sure their faces are forever ingrained in her mind. After I'm done with him, it will be your turn, none of you shall escape me. Exposed 3. Miss Bai Yan. Snowhawk pulls a forced smile to look easier to the eye despite the thick layer of sweat on the forehead. This is all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Chu Yi growled at the man. You won't let me and Xiao Xiao leave when we tried, then your daughter came out of the blue and accused us of stealing a Dan pill. Oh right, you are also responsible for injuring Xiao Xiao a second time after he refused to sleep with your daughter. The more she recounted all those egregious things, the more dangerous Bai Yan's expression became. What else happened while I wasn't around? Tell me each event slowly. Those demons under Dicong will take some time to gather the ingredients, so you don't need to rush. Clenching her small hands into a ball, Xiao Xiao don't want to marry the Snow Clan's first daughter, but they kept insisting on it against his will. Then that Snow Lotus over there kept humiliating him, calling him a parentless orphan with an unknown background. She also called him weak and powerless. A worthless outsider not worthy of her status as the first daughter of this place. Bai Yan's chest would heave up and down at every point being called out by her close friend. She's never heard such insults about her dear brother in all the time she's lived in this life. Imagine it having all shoved into her ear at once? There's no way she wouldn't be affected. In her fit of rage, the demon queen stomps down even harder against Wen Yi's chest with her foot, causing the guy to suddenly spray out blood but also a round green bead from the stomach. This would bet he divine god pill stolen from the altar room. Unlike alchemic products, this specific pill doesn't dissolve the second it touches the tongue, rather it takes a while before it's fully digested. When he knew this detail, of course. Therefore, he intended to make an excuse later, claiming he's going out to train in order to seek a way to make a breakthrough. And when he returns in the future, no one could say otherwise. Snow Lotus's weeping froze there in that second. She too had noticed the partially digested pill dropping down from the air and onto the ground, which left her utterly speechless and popping those eyes. As for Snowhawk the chief, well, what other emotion could this middle-aged man have? He came over to catch a thief, yet it's this very thief who thrust his entire clan into the fire pit by nearly murdering the Demon Queen's younger brother. When it's you who stole the Divine God pill. The chief reactive roar causes a huge uproar from the men of the Snow Clan. Unlike the shocked faces of most standing here, Chewie was actually laughing and eventually crying as well. Do you all see? I never lied. I told you all, I didn't steal it. Turns out it's your own people who stole it. She could be the bad person in a story, but she would never be wronged and framed for something she's never done. Even if the Snow Clan would be doomed today for what they've done, it doesn't change anything. Exposed for, if it weren't for the Divine God pill, Xiao wouldn't be hurt. And the Snow Clan is equally as guilty for being so blind. If Xiao wants it, I can give him the entire celestial realm. And your Snow Clan, it's nothing but a regional power, yet you lot dare to hold my brother in contempt and force him to marry this runt of a girl? Bai Yan's immense power began to release with her words, pressuring and cracking the floorboard as a result of that strength. Yen, Di-Tsang places his charge onto Huang Xiaoying's tiger back and walked over to bring his wife into an embrace. Don't worry, your brother will be all right. Why don't we do this? We can give the celestial realm to your brother as a gift. Back when I met him for the first time, I never got to give him anything, so this will be his present. The Demon King could see the dreadful mood of his wife, so this was his way of cheering her up. It's not that he didn't have emotions towards others, rather he's giving it all to this woman and none to the world. If before Snow Lotus still had a few sarcastic remarks regarding the conversation of others, then right now all she had would be the disheartened and betrayed emotion of seeing the Divine God pill on the floor. Why did you lie to me, cousin? Why did you lie to me? Why did you steal the Divine God pill? You told me you only want to marry me with your own virtues, your own strength. Why did you frame others then? Over the years, there had been countless people who truly cared for Lotus and warned her of Wen Yi's pretentious nature. Sadly, this love-struck lady revoked their kind words and grew more ingrained on loving the guy. But now what? What was she seeing? Trying to say it's a coincidence was impossible, not even she could pretend to not seeing the truth. Meanwhile, on the other end, Wen Yi only had the look of death on his face. He knows, even if these people let him go and his reputation ruined, Snowhawk would never let him live afterwards. In comparison, Snowhawk already had the crazed look of a murderer ready to lash out. He's red in the eye with veins popping up all over his forehead. If it were not for this asshole, we wouldn't have wronged the girl and boy, and then the Snow Clan wouldn't be at fault even if the Demon Queen came. But now we can't even pretend to be innocent. There's one thing you said that's not wrong. Bai Yan turns to Snow Lotus, her voice pinning the girl on the spot and making it difficult to breathe. He doesn't have a father or mother, but he does have me as her older sister. He is not an orphan, he is my most precious younger brother. So what if he doesn't have any parents left alive? As long as he has her as an older sister, then what couldn't he get? She would give him everything. Snow Lotus's lip quivered at that statement. She wanted to make some excuse for her own safety but quickly found her voice lost under that enormous pressure. Taking a step back, the lady appears flustered and lost, like she's being cornered by a predator. So, Bai Yan sneered, for the crime of looking down on my brother, you too will pay the price. Snow Clan's trouble, 1. Miss Bai Yan, this is really a misunderstanding. Snowhawk no longer had any of the air he showed earlier. What pride and strength in his demeanor! More like a frightened stray that wanted to make himself scarce before a predator. If I had known Sir Bai Xiao was your brother, then I would never have forced him into anything. It's not he who is not deserving of my daughter, it's my daughter Lotus who is not deserving of him. My brother is this hurt already and you still want to claim it's a misunderstanding? Bai Yan cared not for their excuses and only got more annoyed by their persistence on pushing the issue aside as something small. In this instant, Snowhawk only felt his back sweating buckets at the sudden decrease in temperature. He knows the excuse wasn't working. Then how do you wish to settle this matter, Miss Bai Yen? Quite simple, I want the Snow Clan's destruction. She wants the people here all to die, what else? A grim look rocked the chief's face. Others from his clan may not get it, but he does. If this demon queen says she wants to destroy the Snow Clan, then she would do it. There's no other force in the celestial realm who could stand up to her at this point. Miss Bai Yen, your brother was stabbed by the guy under your feet, he is the one you want. Now, I'm gifting him to you for disposal. I only ask you spare my clan for the gift. Snow Hawk grinds his teeth and utters this out. Father! Snow Lotus turns to her old man in shock, not believing the proud and powerful father of hers would behave so timidly before this unknown woman. To be clear, this eldest daughter of the Snow Clan wasn't delusional here for continuing to side with Wen. She knows she's been deceived, but love and emotions aren't that simple, otherwise why else would there be so many cases of people suffering despite being able to solve it by leaving? Cousin Wen did do wrong, and he also lied to me for a very long time, but this is still our own Snow Clan's business. We can't let others intervene. Perhaps it's Bai Yan's cold menacing gaze, but Snow Lotus's argument there sounded weak and unconvincing. Coughing at the sudden glimpse of hope, Wen didn't want to let this chance go and attempted to crawl up. Unfortunately for him, Bai Yan noticed this and immediately stomped down harder and nearly sucked the air right out of his lung. Lotus, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have stolen the divine god pill. I want to grow stronger so I can marry you. I did everything for you. His voice croaky and difficult to make out, he's nevertheless said what he needed to make the young foolish lady to move. Father, I won't marry cousin Wen anymore. You can break his leg and anything you like, but please spare his life. Slowly closing her eyes, Lotus's lip quivered with exhaustion after making the plea. Snow Hawk instantly shot a threatening glare towards his eldest. Let him go? Ridiculous, he's done enough damage as it is. No, when is Miss Bai Yan's now to dispose, I won't get involved. This whole mess was done by him, so he needs to shoulder the mistake. It has nothing to do with us anymore. Snow Hawk made sure to peek over to the Demon Queen for her reaction, hoping desperately for confirmation. He could care less for his own daughter's plea at this point when it's all their necks on the line. Bai Yan merely smirked in a sarcastic manner. The way you said it. It sounded like I need your permission to punish this guy or something. If that's what you are thinking, then too bad. Everyone who is involved with my brother's injury will all be punished. Snow Clan's trouble, too. Snow Hawk dropped his head right away. He didn't dare to make any more excuse because the guy knows it would only get worse if he did so. Which hand of yours did you use? Bai Yan asks with the look of a murderer. Piff. Blood splattered following that sound. Looking down at his hands, Snow Hawk had to take a good moment to let his brain process what had occurred and what fate befell his dismembered hands. Your hands are the consequence of answering me too late on the first question. Now, your continued hesitation will cost you your internal dantian. I will destroy it and let you live a life of a frail old man. Boom. Snow Hawk's chest felt a major blow in the next, causing him to spew a mouthful of blood and himself falling to the ground in a deathly pale light despite being under the sun. My dantian. It's destroyed. I'm no more than a useless trash now. I can't even be compared to a child. Snow Lotus cusped her lips at this sight, both horrified and shocked by what has transpired to her father. Father is the chief of the Snow Clan, one of the few demi-divine lords in the celestial realm. How can he fall so easily and without resistance before this woman's hand? But why is this happening? Where exactly are these people from? Isn't Bai Xiao just some undeserved orphan who got lucky by coming to the Snow Clan? Wen Yi's face was equally as stiff. He wanted to run at this point regardless of how futile the efforts were. As a result of his thoughtless movement, Bai Yan's attention soon fell upon him again. No, you can't kill me. It's all Lotus's fault. It's her fault for seducing me and promising me everything. It's all her fault. The guy cries out in desperation after realizing he's the next in line. Snow Lotus's heart had already fallen into shock and disbelief to begin with, but that stinging outburst from the very man she loves ripped at her heart and then stomped on it. What did you say? She turned rigidly akin to a robot at the man attempting to crawl away like an animal. Biting his teeth, the coward and thief snaps. Snow Lotus, the biggest mistake of my life is to be seduced and lured here by you. If it wasn't because of you always clinging on to me and refusing to let go, I wouldn't have done any of the things here today, nor would I have attacked Sir Bai Xiao there due to your constant pleading for help. This is all you're doing, you're the mastermind, I'm only a puppet used by you. Undoubtedly, a young maiden being accused by the very man she gave everything to would hurt. In this case, it didn't just hurt, it ruined her and sent her sanity to the border. Suddenly, a hysterical laugh filled the air. It's self-mocking at first, then that voice turned to dread and despair like a wild animal that has lost their soul. You told me before you disdain those who only know how to climb the ranks using others, did you not? You said you wanted to use your own virtues to marry me, did you not? You said you don't care if I'm the eldest daughter of the Snow Clan, that you only love me for who I am, did you not? Tears filling those eyes, her voice sobbing and croaking, I always believed in you, even when you claimed Chu is here to steal the divine god pill, I believed you and never doubted you. So why are you doing all this? To think I intended to steal the pill for you in secret and this is the thanks I get? To be used as a scapegoat for you? That actually sent Wen Yi into a stunned state because he didn't expect to hear this. She's going to steal the divine god pill for me? Why didn't she tell me from the very beginning? That way I wouldn't have had to bother doing it myself. Snow Clan's trouble. 3. How am I supposed to know you were going to steal the Dan pill for me? It's your fault that I am in this state. If you had said something earlier then I never would have risked myself. Wen Yi's expression bordered on the line of a crazed madman, his hair disheveled and eyes red with veins, it's the look of deep hatred. Snow Lotus's heart had already been riddled with holes by this point, but that outrageous argument only added to her wounds. To say there's barely anything left inside would be an understatement. Wen Yi, I loved you with my all. I even went against my father's order repeatedly, and I went as far as to betray my father behind his back. This is how you treat me. Swaying in unstable strides as she got a bit closer to the guy, I made a lot of mistakes in my life, so a lot of people have the right to resent me, but you are the only one not qualified to do so. This would be the awakening point for the lady. Looking back at all the past things she's done, the egotistic pride of looking down on others in contempt, all of it were goaded along by this very man. Truly, Lotus never did act like this during her youth, at least not at this level of spoiled contempt. Bluntly said, Wen Yi destroyed her. Finally dropping the rock in her heart, Snow Lotus sloppily ran over to her own father's side and leaned down in tears. Father, I'm so sorry for being so stupid, I got blinded by this evil bastard and ruined you, ruined the Snow Clan. This is all my fault. Snow Hawk acted as the pillar for this clan, with his fall so does the Snow Clan as a whole. For this huge mistake in her life, Snow Lotus felt nothing but regret and guilt for the harm she's caused to her family. Di Tsang, said Bai Yen with a cold smile, bring this man back to the demon realm and leave him with fourth elder. He hurt my brother and nearly took his life, merely letting him die won't make up for what he's done. Bai Yen never lets a debt go unpaid. Chief Hawk already paid the price by having his hands dismembered and Dan Tian destroyed. Now all that remains would be Wen Yi. The bastard doesn't get something so easy like death, he's going to suffer for putting a sword into her brother. Dem Demon Realm? When he caught on to that name and popped his eyes, shaking all over. You? Who the hell are you people? Who am I? Bai Yen shot a death glare at the bastard. The Snow Clan's chief should know better than all of you, let him tell you. Sure enough, everyone immediately shifted their attention to the crippled man on the floor. She's Bai Yen the Demon Queen, and the guy beside her is Di Tsang the Demon King. Boom. Despite the day being sunny and bright, everything in the estate only looked gloomy and dark, like a massive dark cloud has shrouded the area. It's eerily quiet to the point where a pin drop could be heard. For Wen Yi, who would suffer the most, he's not just showing shock anymore, there's absolute despair and a crushing level of stress in his mind. If anyone would so much as shoved him some more, his sanity would surely shatter into a psychotic episode. The Demon Queen is Bai Zhao's sister? Isn't he supposed to be a powerless orphan without background? No wonder. No wonder the demonic-looking man can make such big statements like gifting Bai Xiao with the celestial realm. He's Demon King Ditsong, he has the power to do something like that. The demon realm's king and queen, impossible, this is impossible. Snow Lotus cusped her lip in shock, that body trembling and stumbling backwards. Even if she knew that Bai Xiao's older sister had extraordinary strength, she would never imagine they would be of such magnitude with their background. It's the demon realm. Even the celestial palace are not their opponent now. Snow Clan's trouble, 4, Demon Queen. Wen Yi's face went from white to green as his voice fell into an incoherent mess. I didn't know Bai Xiao is your brother. If I had known, I never would have hurt him. I know. The Snow Clan has a second daughter called Snow Moon. Her relationship seems to be very good with your brother. He can have her. I'm willing to offer her as compensation for the trouble. Please let me go. Kneeling there on the ground, the disgusting bastard bangs his head repeatedly against the floor like he's unaware of the pain. Wen Yi. Snow Lotus yells with clenched fist. Who do you think you are to offer up my younger sister as compensation? She from my family, the Snow Clan. Even if she grew up not liking her younger sister very much, the girl was still her sibling. Coupled with the fact that the bastard lied to her for all these years, there's no way Lotus would continue to act blindly and go along with whatever excuse he had in mind. Snow Lotus, are you stupid? If you hand Snow Moon over to them, then maybe the Snow Clan will be spared. Wen Yi shoots a glare back as retort, his voice cold and harsh. Sneering in contempt at the once love of her life, Snow Lotus thought otherwise in this case for once. She's already come out of that shadow and could see things clearly. What saved the Snow Clan by offering up her younger sister? That's all ludicrous. With Bai Yan's love for Bai Xiao, even offering up everyone here would be insufficient. Meanwhile, on the other side of the courtyard, Chu Yifeng had been remaining unemotionally quiet up to this point. However, after hearing that outlandish statement from the pleading bastard on the floor, this young master of the Holy Land could sense an unspoken level of anger flashing within his younger sister's eye. It also helped that the lass kept peeking over to Bai Xiao's spot, which only told the older brother more than he needed to know. Queen, Huang Xiaoying looked towards Bai Yan then, that Snow Moon did defend us, but that's only because of me and Chui, she has nothing to do with Sir Bai Xiao. This explanation allowed Bai Yan to understand everything. Curving her lips into a smirk, if my brother really does like that Snow Moon, then I'm more than happy to accept her into the family, but if he doesn't, that makes the whole thing different. Are you planning to force that girl onto him? That is another crime atop of your already guilty self. Wen Yi's face again went white, but this time the blood literally drained from his skin. Even if he doesn't like her, your brother can still take Moon in as a concubine. That girl rebelled against her father to defend Sir Bai Xiao. That's why I made the suggestion. It's normal for men to take multiple wives. If he doesn't like her, he can always marry more females later on like. From out of the blue, a huge gust of wind came blowing over and sent the foolish guy flying up into the air and crashing back to the floor. And this time, he was certain to not speak because his mouth had been smashed up from that impact. Purple robe, silvery hair, a demonic smile capable of seducing all females, Ditsong steps forward in the most dangerous manner. Bai Xiao is my brother-in-law. Naturally, he can only have one wife. This is a rule that encompasses all of the demon realm. Who would dare break the rule set by I? Huang Xiaoying the tigress appears stunned and dazed by the newfound rule. Majesty, when did the demon realm have such a law? Snow Clan's trouble? 5. That's something I decided when I married my queen. Alright, since we're talking about it, I'm adding another one. Those who get in between someone's relationship are also punishable in the same fashion. Bai Yan squinted her eyes then, making a smile that didn't seem to be a smile at all towards her husband. Ditsong didn't see this right away, but as his back felt the cold, numbing chill crawling up his spine, he immediately swung around to find that unnerving smile in his face. Shuddering out of reflex, I'm not threatening my brother-in-law. You have to believe in me, I would never do such a thing. I'm only annoyed by these people who can so casually say a man can take multiple wives at their leisure. The Demon King was sweating buckets right now, only a step away from raising a hand to vow for his own innocence. Dare to move again, Bai Xiao? He doesn't have the guts for that. Grabbing the Demon King by the collar, Bai Yan's look spelled death if otherwise. I want to know what other law the demon realm has after we get back. If there's some that's outdated, then I will change it. Also, we're adding another about marriages and that close relatives can't be married. Seeing Bai Yan doesn't intend to pursue his own folly of indirectly judging his brother-in-law anymore, Ditsong's heart finally eased up. The Demon King knows, if he really does anger this precious wife of his, he wouldn't be able to sleep in the bed tonight. It's off to the sofa again. Chu Yifeng had just come back to attention then when he overheard their intimate quibbling. Sure enough, his eyes dimmed with sadness at the picture. Big brother. Chu Yi murmurs, her eyes worried for the guy. In light of the thoughtfulness, the picturesque man merely smiled and shook his head to show he's okay. Yen Yen has become more and more outstanding as she grows. She's no longer that frail young girl who needs my protection. This isn't a bad thing, I should be happy for her. Yifeng. Bai Yan also met the guy's gaze then after sensing the attention. She wanted to say something to soothe the situation, but she too didn't know what to say at this moment. Yen Yen, I see you are doing well, that puts me at ease with following you. After I finish handling the matter here, I will leave. Slightly disappointed that their relationship has deteriorated to such a degree where even a casual conversation has become possible, Bai Yan drops her gaze with the light in her eye dimming away. Okay. For Chu Yifeng, her feelings are not clear. There's affection, friendship, just no love. So, from the very beginning, she didn't dare give him hope. Yen Yen, I hope. The hurting man turns his back to avoid making his next words more difficult. If one day I become distant and could no longer recognize you, please do not hold back and kill me. A shocked face filled Bai Yan's expression. Yifeng, why would you say that? I'm only saying it for now in case. Perhaps that day may never come, so don't hold it to heart. Swinging around, Chu Yifeng attempts to form a reassuring smile so the Demon Queen doesn't worry. Then shifting to Snow Lotus and Wen Yi who caused this whole mess, I heard you also held my sister in contempt. Never has anyone dared to do that to her, you two are the first. Boom. Raising a hand, a monumental level of force came crushing down at Wen Yi the bastard's head, sending him smashing into the ground and creating webs of cracks as his body being imprinted against the stone slabs. Despite the intense hit, the Holy Land's young lord never did take the thief's life. Not because he couldn't, rather it's due to Bai Yan's remark about sending the guy to the demon realm for further punishment. So, in the end, the guy did the most damage without actually killing the bastard here today. He came like the wind but also left like the wind. Bai Yan, I keep having this strange feeling about my big brother. Chu Yi frowns, her heart vaguely uneasy in regards to that last comment. Bai Yan felt the same way as she gazed in the direction of the man's departure. Chu Yifeng's changed. Does it have anything to do with Chu Yi God? I can't let this go unchecked. I need to see that man and ask for an answer. Oomph. Snow Hawk coughs up a mouthful of blood, lying weakly there as he spoke to the very daughter who ruined him. That man's strength is also far superior to my own. Do you see, Lotus? Both of the people whom you look down upon are both with backgrounds superior to our Snow Clan. Ha! The Snow Clan is finished, no one can save us. Bai Yan's glee, Snow Hawk was shedding tears of regret after that statement, but what's the point anymore? A shattered glass could never be repaired, and the mistake his family made could never be amended. Ditsong, I'm leaving the remaining matter here to you. My brother needs rest, so I'm going to take him somewhere quiet. Have the ingredients ready for me once the demons finish gathering everything. Bai Yan's view fell upon her younger brother's unconscious face. There's no longer the fierce glint she showed to the members of the Snow Clan, only the gentle care towards her family. The Demon King knows how much this young man meant to his wife. Reaching over to touch her shoulder to reassure the woman that it's going to be all right, don't worry, leave things to me. I'll make those who hurt him wish they were dead instead. The bit about wishing they were dead hit Wen Yi the hardest here. Dilating his eyes wide in horror, the thief and bastard was finally starting to regret his own decisions in life. Not wanting to spend more time on these people, Bai Yan carries her brother and slowly strolled for the outside, but not before leaving one last comment as she disappeared from the spot. Don't destroy this Snow Clan's estate yet, I need to use one of their room. As for the rest of the people, I don't want to see them again. Pouring through the open window, the sun's ray magnified the young man's handsome contour. He's soundly asleep right now, no pain, no bleeding blood, only the scab that formed around the sword wound on his chest. Run away. From out of the blue, Bai Xiao bursts open his eyes and yelled this aloud. He didn't know where he was or what has transpired, but his mind could still vaguely remember the crying voice of the girl and his own helplessness due to the lethal injury through his chest. But as his head gradually cleared up and the image of the room slowly hits him, the racing in his heart slowed down. Only then does he notice the enchanting face staring down at him from above. Sister, what are you doing here? He asks with a hint of confusion and befuddlement. Bai Yen sat at the head of the bed when the boy finally awoke. Relieved at the effectiveness of her medicine, she sighed and asked another thing that's bothering her. Did something happen between you and me when I'm not around? Bai Xiao subconsciously shook his head at the question and avoided eye contact. You misunderstood, sister. He put her life on the line to protect me, plus she's your close friend, so I just didn't want anything to happen to her. Raising a brow, Bai Yan's eyes were all smiles. Is that so? Bai Zhao's face grew red and embarrassed at the obvious tease. It's true, he and I are clean, you mustn't misunderstand us, sister. After hearing this, Bai Yan did not say anything else as she slowly got up to leave the room. Sister, where are you going? Turning her head around with the biggest grin at the doorway, of course to call over to care for you. What, do you expect me to stick around to look after you instead? Xiao Xiao is not young anymore. If he can become a couple, then that's not a bad thing. Chiu Moon's aim, 1. Standing inside one of the nicer rooms of the Snow Clan's estate, Ditsong quietly waited until he sensed the familiar breathing of the love of his life. How is Bai Xiao? He asks after feeling the physical contact from behind. I gave him the medicine I refined so his body should recover without issue. Ditsong, I've been trying to give my brother space to grow since he asked for it, but I never thought he would suffer such indignation and danger while out of my view. Even now, Bai Yan still had trouble keeping her heart calm because if she had come any more later, the precious young boy would have died. Such a blunder tells her how much of a failure she has been in being an older sister. I know what you are thinking, but I quite like that side of his. Bai Xiao doesn't want to rely on your power to live, that's why he left to become stronger, that I respect. Ditsong slowly turns around to caress her hair so she doesn't feel so bad. Ditsong, Bai Yan stares up to meet her husband's gaze, her lips forming into a smile after feeling better. There's another thing I want to bring up, our demon realm might need to hold a wedding banquet soon. The man raises a brow. Yen, how did you know State Teacher and Xiao Wan are getting married? A shocked look filled the demon queen's face. Xiao Wan is getting married? She's finally able to get a husband? If her exclamation were to be heard by the very girl herself, Di Xiao Wan would surely be heard inside. Who would like to be thought of as someone that couldn't get married? No one that. That's right, I received a message from the demon realm not long ago that the two are finally tying the knot. Aren't you referring to Xiao Wan? Shaking her head, I am not talking about Xiao Wan, I was referring to my brother Xiao Xiao. You are his brother-in-law, you naturally have to handle his wedding arrangements since you're his elder. In this world, Bai Xiao was her closest kin, it's only natural that she and Di Tsong oversee the young lad's marriage arrangements and such. Bai Xiao is getting a wife? Whose girl is it? The Demon King squints his eyes in at the possibilities. Why didn't I get wind of him liking anyone? It's Chu. In regards to the Holy Land's young princess, the Demon King didn't have too much of an impression. All he knows about the girl was she's Chu Yifeng's little sister and that she attempted to pair his wife with the guy. She's gotten together with Bai Xiao? How far are they along? Should I begin preparations for the wedding reception? Don't worry, Yen, as his brother-in-law, I will make sure Bai Zhao's wedding be a sight to behold. They haven't made much progress yet, but I believe that a girl as good as Chu Yi will get along with my brother once given the chance. By then I'm sure things will go smoothly on their own. Bai Yan's lip was smiling on its own. In regards to her friends, Chu Yi could be considered one of the few close friends she had from the human world. If she does become family, It would be wonderful. Although I am jealous of Chu Yifeng for being able to accompany you for so many years, but his sister didn't leave any bad impressions with me. Since you like her so much, then she must have qualities that are very good to attract your attention. If Bai Xiao accepts her, then I too will be happy for this union. Qiu Moon's aim, too. Okay. Bai Yan smiled. Now that Xiao Xiao is also found, I want to go back to the demon realm. Is that fine with you, Ditsong? So that Xiao Wan is already getting married. I must act properly as her sister-in-law. I won't be so casual anymore and make the same mistake with my brother. I refuse to be incompetent. From the bottom of her heart, Bai Yan really liked that demon princess and wanted nothing but the best for her. In this case, the lady could feel at ease knowing its state teacher who would be marrying Di Xiaowan. With him loving that girl, no one could ever hurt her. Demon Realm. Standing against the windowsill, state teacher didn't have the usual gentle expression he's known for, rather he's looking serious and somewhat unapproachable with that oppressive air. Is there any movement with Qiu Moon recently? He asks with a frown and cold voice. State teacher, we've been keeping a close watch on her during this period but could not discern any suspicious movement. Aside from the daily routine she does, there does not appear to be anything worthy of note, nor has she gone anywhere near the princess. One of the demonic shadows working under state teacher reports, his shadowy figure a looming haze that's difficult to make out. Qiu Moon would be the white fox lady saved by Di Xiaowan a while back. She's been working at the palace and has been kept under close watch. Keep watching her. If she dares to appear before Xiao Wan or do anything suspicious, you have permission to subdue her at your will. I won't let anyone make my future wife unhappy or do anything that might harm her. Yes, state teacher. The shadow arches his fist and retreated. Meanwhile, at the same time in another room, Qiu Moon the fox lady was sitting at a table with her hands holding a portrait. It's yellowed and old to the point where even the figure painted there could hardly be made out. Despite this, the look in the lady's eye spelled yearning. When will I be able to have you? One look and that's all it took for you to steal my heart. Back then I was nothing but a powerless fox, but now I can finally have the chance to stand by your side. So why must you have another lover instead? Qiu Moon's mouth curved into arcing smile, her face frail and weak that made the opposite sex want to pull her into a hug at first sight. But it doesn't matter, I will make you mine one day. I won't let anyone get in our way, I won't ever let go. In her momentary trance of murmuring to herself, the lady suddenly became aware of several energy signatures outside her room. Without hesitation, she quickly puts away her portrait and returned to the harmless person that she showed to others. That man is that wary of me, eh? Ever since I came to the palace, he has never left me alone. As if I would ever hurt her highness, what a fool that man is. That said, Qiu Moon instinctively rubbed the storage ring on her finger. It's where she stored the portrait. I will make you mine, I won't let anyone destroy our bond. Inhaling deeply at the thought, she readied herself and walked towards the door to continue her work. Demon Realms Change 1. Coming out of her room, Qiu Moon acted like she didn't notice the shadows trailing her at all. This should have been enough to get her through the day without issue, yet things never do go smoothly despite her trying to lay low. Right after the lady got out of her wing, a slender figure bumblingly runs right into her and causes a crashing sight to behold. Rubbing the forehead, Qiu Moon had to take a second to gather herself before realizing who has come. Hi Highness, Princess, are you here to look for state teacher? Groaning over the fall, Di Xiaowan pulls herself up and makes a puckered face since this wasn't someone she wanted to see. Qiu Moon, I don't need to ask anyone to come find state teacher, so you don't need to ask me that. Also, it looks like you are mostly recovered from your injury. Yes, Princess, I am. If you've recovered, then you should begin preparations to leave. The palace doesn't take in females from the outside. I only took you in because I saw you were hurt. If my brother finds out I brought a female home, then he will definitely kill me. Puckering her lips, Di Xiaowan recalls back to the mean old appearance of Di Tsong's face whenever she does a blunder. Qiu Moon kept her head down during their conversation, but those hands had already tightened into a ball at the idea of being expelled. Princess, I don't have anywhere else to go. That's so. Di Xiaowan furrows up her brow in contemplation. Let's do this then. I'll get someone to prepare a house for you outside. You can stay there until you decide where to go. Seeing they are both foxes, the demon princess didn't have the heart to simply shoo the frail-looking lady out onto the streets. What's more, this was the demon realm. They both have the right to live in this realm where all demons call home. Chiu Moon finally raises her head and didn't look so dejected anymore with that gorgeous smile. Thank you, princess. For some reason, towards the fox lady's behavior, Di Xiaowan felt oddly uncomfortable to the point where she subconsciously wanted to distance herself from the other side. If there's nothing else, you can pack up tonight and depart tomorrow morning. After saying that, the demon princess attempts to walk away to avoid prolonging the conversation. However, that's when her eyes caught a glimpse of State Teacher who was rapidly approaching from the front. State Teacher! She exclaims with glee in her voice. Are you all right? The man asks with heavy panting but was nevertheless relieved to find the princess safe and sound. Slightly startled by the questions and how fast he came over, Di Xiaowan counters with a question of her own. Why would I not be? This is my home. Who can hurt me? That's good to hear. State Teacher smiles and stroked her head in a gentle manner. Go to my place to rest first. How about it? Nodding her head without any thought about the meaning. Okay, but I want to know when my brother and sister-in-law are going to be back. I miss Xiachen so much. I'm dying to give him a hug. Then I got some good news for you. His Majesty just sent me a message before I came and that he will be returning to the demon realm very soon. The gentle cooing of this man brought a smile to Di Xiaowan's face. By then the couple was ready to leave then, but not before State Teacher shot a fleeting glance towards Chiu Moon who was standing to one side. It's a warning and a threat. I need to act tonight if I must leave tomorrow. This man is on to me somehow. The fox lady thought after feeling a cold shudder. Demon realms change, too. If I leave the demon realm then I might never be able to fulfill my wish again. Chiu Moon thought, her heart firming up. Nighttime with the moon hanging high, a dark hazy figure slowly rose from the ground and appeared before the fox lady. Chiu Moon greets your lordship. She takes to the knee, her tone respectful and compliant. What is the progress? The strange entity's voice sounded hoarse and rough, yet it had a strange magnetic draw to it that compelled others to listen. Dimming her eyes due to the bump in her mission, I'm sorry, my lord, the king is not in the demon realm so it's only State Teacher watching over the palace. That guy is very wary of me so I couldn't get close to my target. Right now I'm being shadowed by the palace guardsmen so my progress is limited. Fool! The man snorted in displeasure. I can't even rely on you to do something as simple as that. What use are you to me? Chiu Yu's face went white, her fluster all apparent to the other side. My lord, I don't have any options either. Furthermore, the princess wants me to depart from the palace after tonight. I fear I won't be able to locate the item you instructed. That answer definitely didn't sit well with the being. Suddenly, he cackled a laugh that drew one's hair up. It's chilling and full of contempt for others. In that case, I will give you another mission to make up for your slow progression. My people won't be able to break through the boundaries on their own and come to your aid. The only way is for you to help them from your side. The time they can spend over there is limited, but it's more than enough to move the mission along. Though delighted at this support, Chiu Moon still sounded hesitant. Will the method hurt her? There are things that she doesn't want to happen like hurting the one she holds dear. However, she too knows the decision doesn't lie with her, but with this individual whom she calls master. Without him, Chiu Moon would remain that weak and helpless fox from way past, nor would she be able to come here to this side. Don't worry, I know the person you have in your heart, I won't hurt her. By then I will even grant you your wish. Ha! The corner of the man's mouth rose slowly, his eyes flashing a cold glint. Don't hurt that woman? How can I ever let her go? I will make Di Tsong suffer, that includes hurting the closest people around him. I will make that guy suffer a life of pain. Under the glistening red light of the blood-colored moon here, Di Xiaowan casually flew over the sea of mountains in this region without hinder. State Teacher, do you think my new little niece will like me as her aunt? The demon princess descends and plucked a rose up from a bush she came across. And should I prepare some gifts? All affectionate in the eye, the man was all smiles at the question. The king and queen's daughter will definitely be as lovely as Prince Xiachen. I'm sure she will like you regardless. Really? Di Xiaowan sounded very happy, her eyes sparkling with hope for their meet. State teacher, truth is, I'm starting to remember some of the things from the past now. I know you've accompanied me for a long time, so, biting her lip, the girl grew hesitant at what she's going to say next. When Di Tsang gave up everything to save Bai Yen, this man too gave up everything to save herself. Though she's lost all the memories of the past, the important bits are gradually starting to resurface. Demon Realms Change 3. This life, I really do marry, then marrying this man who is so gentle and kind to me isn't too bad either. At least, he won't scare me as often as that mean old big bro of mine. So, Di Xiaowan looks up with her firm gaze. I am now sincerely wanting to marry you, I am serious. Before she was too afraid to become this man's wife due to her own unwillingness to get hitched so early on, the second being that state teacher's too familiar. It's not easy to accept someone you consider a close member of the circle. As for why she accepted the proposal not long ago, well, she wanted a baby to care for herself. But now, that's changed and her feelings are sincerely starting to blossom for this kind gentleman. Xiaowan. Raising his hand, state teacher pulls the girl into his arms and lets her head lean in against his chest. I'll wait for you to remember everything. I've waited for a millennium anyways, it won't matter if I wait a while longer. Blinking with her long eyelashes, Di Xiaowan suddenly came down with a thought. State teacher. Back then, were we husband and wife? Why else would you be so nice to me after I returned to the demon realm? No, he said in a cooing voice while brushing those fingers against her hair for tidying. They were not husband and wife, but they were almost if not for that unfortunate incident where the princess went missing. By the time he located her again, Di Xiaowan had already been sealed within a crystal and her memories lost. But it doesn't matter anymore, he's come this far and only needs a little bit more time before they could truly be wed. One day Xiaowan will remember our past and the feelings we shared. It's then from out of the blue, the man felt a terrible sensation coming over him, causing his hands to tighten around the princess out of precaution. What's going on, state teacher? Why do you look so white? The princess asks with a puzzled look. Something happened to the palace. The people I sent to watch Chiu Moon has lost contact with me. The gaze around the man's eye grew colder and colder. I knew it, something is not right with that woman. What? Di Xiaowan's expression changed, hands growing anxious as she clung onto the man's sleeve. Then what should we do? We need to hurry back to the palace. I'm the one who brought Chiu Moon back, I can't let her hurt those at the palace. State teacher's eye dimmed. Those people's goal aren't in the palace. Even if you didn't take in that Chiu Moon, the foe would still move against us. Don't worry, the crisis with the celestial realm is already over. Whoever this new enemy is will know they've bitten off more than they can chew. I'm just wondering who it can be? He was afraid that Di Xiaowan would blame herself, so he made sure to explain the reasoning. Xiaowan, no matter what happens later, you mustn't care about me and leave the demon realm. Go find your brother the king in the celestial realm. State teacher. The princess exclaims, her lips a thin line due to stubbornness. You're going to be my husband soon. How can you expect me to leave you behind? Besides, I'm the princess of this realm, how can I leave my people behind? So, no matter what happens, I will live and die with my kin. Demon Realms Change 4. It's then state teacher noticed a series of powerful energy signatures quickly drawing in on their location. Immediately getting serious with grim look, Xiaowan, you leave now, I'll stay and stop these people. Go. In that last outburst, the man was crying with everything he had. Clearly those coming are extremely strong and perhaps beyond his means to repel. Di Xiaowan stumbled backwards at being shoved away so roughly. Then looking up with her shocked eyes, this princess soon saw why and the approaching black dots in the sky. It's too by then for those enemies quickly surrounded them from all sides, making escape difficult even if she did try to leave. It's too late. State teacher's expression sank into a grimly dark light. He wanted Di Xiaowan to escape, but clearly he's underestimated the foe. Who are you people? Ha! A cold and conceited laughter broke through the red-lit night. followed by the gradual materialization of a black hazy figure that shrouded over the sky to take up the horizon. I'm only here to take that woman behind you. Hand her over and you shall be spared. Those words were poison, hissing and venomous akin to a snake's slithering. Who exactly are you? State Teacher's voice got harsh and rough, brewing up a storm around his existence over what he's heard. These people are here for Xiaowan? I originally sent a certain someone to retrieve something from the palace for me, but that woman was utterly useless and failed in her goal. Now, as compensation for the failure, I'm going to kill that man's sister to make him suffer. Gripping his fist, State Teacher's posture grew tenser and irate. You are the one who sent Xiaomun, didn't you? She was working for you. Yes, the man said contemptuously, nothing but a useless woman. Her only use is to act as a medium for my subordinates to break through the boundaries. They may be limited to half an hour on this side, but that's more than enough time to finish the business. Di Xiaowan's complexion had turned deathly white then. Hurrying to get behind her future husband for safety, she began to think and quickly came up with an idea for the time being. Gritting her teeth, I do not know what sort of grudge you have against my brother, but you are mistaken about something. Regarding me and my brother's relationship, my big bro would love nothing more than to toss me aside. Killing me won't do a thing to hurt him. He only knows how to beat me and scold me. He doesn't love me at all. In saying this, the demon princess's expression and posture showed much grievance, which goes to show the sort of poo impression Di Tsong had left on this missy. Is what you said true? The man's voice asked with sarcasm. Of course it's true. She angrily replied, I never lie. My brother thinks of me as an extra that is redundant in this family. If you kill me, then my brother will only celebrate. He would never be sad about my death. In fact, if he could kill me himself without creating a scandal with the citizens, my big bro would have done so on his own long ago. Demon Realms Change 5. State Teacher cluelessly turned to face the angry-faced princess. Is it really okay to speak ill about your own brother behind his back? Do you know what he will do to you if he finds out? He really will rope you up for a beating if he does. So, pressing down her inner panic and remaining oblivious to the strange look she's getting, Di Xiaowan continues to spout her lies for the plan. If you want to kill me, then you are doing my brother a favor, okay? He might even hold a banquet as gratitude. Are you really going to accept his gratitude? The hazy figure's voice sounded wary and suspicious. When did he become so concerned about worldly views? How do you explain all the people he killed in the past then? He never cared about their lives before, did he? You are wrong. The people my brother killed are not related to him by blood. That's why he didn't care about the consequences. I'm his sister. If it becomes known that he killed his own sister, then he would be marred as a sibling killer. By then he will be shamed to no end. Oh, then why does he hate you so much? You are his sister. It doesn't make sense, does it? The hazy foe smirked and asked with a deceptive voice. This? Di Xiaowan's body visibly stiffened, her expression looking troubled. That's because of State Teacher. Without hesitation, the demon princess suddenly dragged the gentleman to the forefront. State Teacher and my brother had an affair before. They were in love. My brother doesn't want his man to be stolen by me, but could do nothing. From then on he's hated us both. You tell me, wouldn't you hate the person who stole your love? State Teacher's mind literally exploded then. I had an affair with the king? If this is heard by the king, it's likely. I can forget about continuing to stay in the demon realm. I won't be able to stay beside Xiaowan's side. The haze cackled a laugh, his voice filled with contempt. Di Xiaowan, do you think I will believe your outlandish words? Besides, even if what you say is true, I would rather kill 100 than to miss a single one. The demon princess's face froze because that act was the best she's done in her life, yet he didn't believe any of it. State Teacher, do you have any other idea? She asks in a hurry now that her ploy has failed. Humph. The haze snorted with displeasure. Don't waste my time, both of you will die today. Only then will that guy suffer the loss of his younger sister and a right arm. Ha! Sensing the panic in his future wife's hand, State Teacher knew he must say something to calm her down. Xiaowan, I said I will use my life to protect you and give you happiness. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you. I will do what I promised. 1,000 years ago, he failed to protect her, thus indirectly causing her strength to be sealed and memory lost. Now, 1,000 years later, he won't allow anyone to hurt her. Your resistance is equivalent to a pebble trying to break a rock. Foolish. Nothing but contempt could be heard from the dark haze's voice. Chiu Moon the Fox, 1. At the signal, the crowd behind the hazy figure moved and began their attack upon the couple. The strikes were fierce as they came in from multiple directions. Even so, they were not enough to completely overwhelm their target, who met them punch for punch, kick for kick. Leave me behind, state teacher. You mustn't die for me. You won't be able to survive if you're busy protecting me. Tears flowing, Di Xiaowan cries out with trembling voice after seeing the terrible state her protector has gotten himself into. She may be a klutz at times, but even she could see the tide doesn't lie with them as the fighting dragged on. Despite his robe being in tatters and body covered in wounds by this point, this gentle and kind gentleman didn't utter a word, only continuing to fend off the punches and blades with his own hands. He won't be deterred, that's his resolution and duty as a man. I said I will protect her, nothing will get in my way of doing so. As nice as those thoughts were, state teacher's strained body was swiftly beginning to show its flaws. He's become a swaying tree with holes punched into his trunks. If this continued, then it's just a matter of time before he's toppled over. Milord! Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts in upon this rose-covered field where a life-and-death battle ensued. Di Xiaowan recognized this voice instantly. Turning to face the lady with a growl, the demon princess wanted to slap the fox lady out of frustration. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't hurt her? Chiu Moon ran up to the hazy figure and kneeled there. He clearly promised me. If he didn't promise me, then I wouldn't have done this. Why are things turning out like this? I never planned for this at all. It shouldn't have become like this. It never was. Scram! The haze roared, carrying force in the voice and sending the fox lady's body tumbling backwards like he just punched her in the gut. I did promise you, but what of it? Who told her to be Di Tsong's sister? If I don't kill her, then how can I teach that bastard a proper lesson? Chiu Moon's body froze as blood slowly trickled out of her mouth, those eyes dull and lost like the life just got sucked out of her soul. How did this happen? He's going to kill her? I'm so dumb to have believed him. You lied to me, you lied to me. Chiu Moon's voice sounded shaky, her eyes unable to hide the despair circulating in those eyes. Why did you lie to me? I am so stupid. Why did I believe this man when I knew he hated her brother? What am I supposed to do? Chiu Moon the Fox, 1. Once he's done speaking to the despairing Chiu Moon, the haze returns his attention back to the reason he's here. Locking onto the gentle and kind man who's furiously resisting the attack still. Are you going to keep getting in my way? That woman, is she worth your own life? Unfazed at the mention of death, state teacher gives a blunt and direct reply. Yes, she is everything to me, even if it means my death. Fine, so be it. You and her can die as a pair of love birds. Without mercy, the hazy raises his hand and coldly gives the order, kill them both, leave nothing behind. I want Di Tsong to feel what it means to not have even a corpse to bury. Yes, Lord. After the haze's words came out, the momentum of those people became more and more monstrous, as if there were countless mountains coming down from the sky and attempting to crush them. Under such powerful pressure, Chiu Moon's body trembled with those pale lips quivering. Despite this, her eyes were very angry still, but more were that of panic and deep regret. I was wrong, I shouldn't have trusted this man in order to get her. The damage I've done will become irreparable at this rate. If only I had never existed. If I didn't exist, then she wouldn't have been hurt. Suddenly, Chiu Moon's eyes shrank as she saw countless blades comprised of condensed air shoot over to Di Xiaowan and state teacher. No, don't. In her urge of desperation, the fox lady moved those legs without forethought and threw herself in front of the couple's presence. For that rash act of selflessness, the ending result was the cruel sound of piercing flesh and bone. It's truly beautiful yet tragic at the same time. Imagine a gorgeous white dress worn by a frail maiden being stained with red, a polar contrasting color to match her end. What a sad but magnificent piece of art. Still locked onto the demon princess, Chiu Moon murmurs out the only words that she could. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to. I just wanted you, but I didn't want to hurt you. You, Di Xiaowan stared in amazement with those beautiful eyes. Aren't you supposed to be with these people? Why are you saving us? The attackers around them had stopped attacking due to this sudden interjection, but their frowns revealed enough to display the dissatisfaction they had towards Chiu Moon. They serve their lord and would do anything as commanded, but they are not mindless drones that likes to make a mess of things, and this situation was indeed spiraling into a mess. The haze was likewise the same. He didn't like turning this into a sob story of them being the villain. Waving his hand to signal his men to stop for now. Chiu Moon, you betrayed me, why? Sprawled on the rose field with blood continuing to bleed out from her lethal wounds, Chiu Moon did not answer the haze and instead continued her final will towards the demon princess. Princess, I was indeed trying to seduce state teacher during these past few days while I was here. I only hope you won't misunderstand him. It's all my doing. Di Xiaowan was honestly unsure on how to take this from the fox lady. That bleak voice left her pitying the other lady, but she's also angry that they are in situation due to Chiu Moon's very own doing. Why did you try to seduce state teacher? The demon princess asked the one dilemma she had. Chiu Moon the fox, too. Chiu Moon closed her eyes and spoke in poignant tone. Princess, do you not remember the little fox you saved under the silver tree in the celestial realm? Celestial realm? Little fox? Di Xiaowan raised an eyebrow, her eyes a look of dullness as small tiny fragments slowly flickered within her mind. It was a sea of flowers where she found the small little fox. There, she stayed for over a month to care for the small animal, but likewise, the fox also acted as a companion to herself and helped heal some of the hurt inside her own heart. Princess, you may not remember me, but I always remembered you. I remember all the stories you told me, and I also remember your promise to come back for me. Then making a sad smile like she just remembered the long years of loneliness on her own. But that wait is a millennium in the making. Di Xiaowan's heart trembled at the past that has returned to her. Looking down at Chiu Moon and the pool of blood forming around her body, the princess's heart ached with pain as well. Little fox, I didn't keep my promise to go get you. I'm sorry. Not long after she left the Sea of Flowers, the demon realm suffered the great defeat and she too became sealed within a crystal. By the time she awoke again it's already too late and she had lost her memories. Woo, princess, I really didn't want to hurt you. Chiu Moon's didn't sound loud, but it's extremely moving due to how helpless it was. I am jealous of state teacher because all you talked about during that month is of him. I wanted to do everything to destroy that bond. I wanted to keep you to myself. Then he came along, flickering a glance towards the haze. The fox lady showed resentment and hate for the one responsible. He promised me that if I helped him then he could turn me to male fox. Once I become a man, he would let me have you. I felt so lonely, I didn't want to be lonely anymore. I was wrong, I did such terrible mistakes and now I can never redeem myself. Chiu Moon's despairing eye gradually transformed into a look of determination at her last words. Pulling herself up from the ground using the last of her strength, the lady forcefully pushed Di Xiaowan over to state teacher and stood as a shield between the pair and the haze. Princess, you leave. They are using me as a medium to come to the demon realm. If I die then they should also disappear, huh? Chiu Moon meant what she said there. It's the voice of a person on their last legs. Even so, she doesn't feel sad because she finally got the attention of the princess there for the first time since coming here. That only reinforced her will to make a stand. Boom. Her momentum suddenly turned violent, darkening the world around herself due to the affinity of her power. I'm sorry. She gives one final farewell before activating her spell. This is my mistake and I must solve it myself. Little fox, no, don't. Di Xiaowan reflexively cries out, the images of that month under the silver tree flashing over her eyes like a video in full clarity. Chiu Moon the fox, 3. Suddenly, Di Xiaowan's heart trembled, her hand reaching out in an attempt to catch the fox lady. But a thunderous explosion rocked the air at which Chiu Moon was, causing the person there to disappear into powder and dust. A dazed look filled the demon princess's eye, her mind a dull blank at the sight. Chiu Moon, she's dead? The little fox who accompanied me for a month during my saddest moment in life. She's dead? And her soul is destroyed too, never to be reborn anew? Biting her lips intensely, Di Xiaowan didn't cry, only staring sluggishly in front like something broke inside. State teacher, if I had remembered her earlier than today, would she have lived? Holding his future wife's hand to console her feelings. Xiaowan, this is not your intention, so you mustn't blame yourself. Events like this is beyond your control. Let's say Xiaowan didn't forget her memories. How could she have remembered someone from a millennium ago so easily? That's beyond ridiculous. I know today's events are caused by Chiu Moon, but she's the little fox I found back then. When I ran away from home and got scammed and abducted by everyone that I encountered, it was she who stayed by my side and kept me company. Blaming herself, the demon princess starts hitting her own head in frustration. Big bro is right, I am just too stupid. Everything happened because I was too weak and slow. The real person who deserves to die is me. Alarmed by that outburst, state teacher quickly changed his tone into the sternest voice he could make. You cannot do that. Nobody can predict the future, so you need to stop this sort of thinking. I will protect you and won't let such tragedy happen again, trust me. Sadly, those reassuring words didn't help at all in this case. The original color on the girl's skin had been lost, replaced only with the sad, pitiful gray found in someone that have lost their way. Towards this version of his future wife, state teacher hated it and ached for her. The haze on the other hand didn't show any emotions at the death, only staring indifferently at the spot where Chiu Moon's soul dissipated. Sneering, what a stupid woman, she really thinks self-destructing is enough to send my subordinates away? How ludicrous! Unless the time limit is up, they will not disappear from this side. She got what she deserved if she's that stupid. So what if she's the medium? A summoning doesn't work like that. It's no wonder I was able to manipulate her with only a few lies. The eyesore is gone, go and finish these two now. The time limit is almost up. Under the haze's order, the assailants began to move again. Di Xiaowan's behavior didn't return to that of panic then though at those words. Under those protective arms from the man whom she would call husband in the future, this demon princess only got silent, an eerie silence that radiated a spookiness. Remember Xiaowan, if I am no longer by your side in the future, you have to take good care of yourself, understand? State teacher ignored those who rushed at him and showed his iconic gentle smile when giving this statement. Xiaowan's personality really makes me worry. If I'm not around anymore, then who's going to care for her? Who's going to comfort her when she's sad? State teacher. Seemingly able to catch on to the man's words there, Di Xiaowan finally revealed a trace of panic. I do not want you to leave me. You can't leave me, you promised to take care of me for the rest of my life. Silly girl, you have your brother the king and the queen. They will love you in my place for the coming future. State teacher's injury, 1. Without fear, state teacher resumes his defense against the enemies that had already come before himself, but instead of a harsh look in his face though, he's faintly smiling this time around. If my estimates are correct, your men only have another 5 minutes left before the summoning ends. Although I can't defeat them on my own, but drawing this fight out is well within my means. Just 5 minutes, afterwards Xiaowan will be safe. Under the embrace of her future husband, the demon princess didn't even dare to move. She knows all too well how weak her strength was in comparison to all these people, therefore she didn't want to cause any more trouble by acting careless or rash. It's just that when her pupils landed on those knives and swords contacting the very person protecting herself, this girl just couldn't resist shrinking those eyes in. There's blood. No! Voice cried out with great pain and sadness, echoing out across the sea of roses and sending the petals fluttering across the air. Di Xiaowan hated the fact that others were dying or hurting because of herself. First it was Chiu Moon self-destructing for her own sake, and now state teacher was bleeding across his body in her stead. It's all because of her own inability to fight. What's going on? The two green eyes showing within that haze appears troubled after the repeated delay. Why is he not dead yet with those wounds? With so many wounds, how is he able to stand there and fight still? Despite being in his decrepit state after succumbing to so much attacks to the point where his bones were showing in some areas, State teacher did not speak, only firmly shielding the precious treasure behind himself using his own flesh and body in the literal sense. He's on his last leg and reacted sloppily, but even so, those arms continued to swing in retaliation against the foe. This sluggishness didn't escape the assailants though. Noticing the opening, one of the attackers promptly slashed down at the man's shoulder and sent a splatter of blood gushing out of that wound. Since Di Xiaowan stood directly behind the guy, she naturally became the recipient of that reddish fluid. Specifically, her eyes were where the blood landed, which dyed her world a bloody red as a result. State teacher! Di Xiaowan cried out again after seeing how that powerful back had begun to sway backwards. Without thought, she reached out with her arms to support him from the rear only to find a storm of blades coming down at them from above. She didn't know what else to do then aside from closing her eyes for what's to come. However, the expected scythe upon her life never came, only the falling sparkles of twinkling dust once she reopened her eyes. Is it time? The Haze's shrouded appearance somehow gave off a look of displeasure. Gloomily locking onto the demon princes, I may not be able to kill you today, but that guy's life is as good as done. Di Tsong will have lost a right arm. State teacher's injury, too. After that said, the man behind that haze no longer lingered around and gradually disappeared into the void. He's done the part of what he wanted, though not complete, it's enough for today. State teacher, you mustn't die. I got a lot of Dan pills from sister-in-law, you hurry take some. Without delay, Di Xiaowan hurriedly poured out the pills in her possession after seeing they're safe and attempted to stuff the beads into her future husband's mouth. However, the feat was a difficult one in this case. State teacher simply suffered too many injuries, many lethal at that. Forget about swallowing something, there's hardly any breathing rhythm in that chest anymore. Seeing the dire situation, the demon princess knew she had to take drastic measures. Stuffing the pills into her own mouth, she leans forward and used her own tongue as a leverage to pry open that mouth. She could feel the cold lips over their intimate contact, and for that, she shuddered instead of feeling any heat in the cheeks. Try as she might though, Di Xiaowan still didn't feel any change in the man's complexion afterwards. In fact, it's only getting worse as all color drained from her future husband's skin. State teacher! She painfully cries, the tears of grief and despair abundant along that face. On the other end, state teacher himself only wants to take a good long rest. But with that constant crying from his precious love, the man felt numerous needles repeatedly stinging into his heart. He tried to open those eyes to reassure her. Sadly, he's absolutely powerless in his current state. Don't cry, it hurts when you cry. He finally manages to murmur this out despite it being nothing but a wisp from that mouth. Wu, why did you protect me? I'd rather it be me if they are going to kill anyone. Because, the man musters up all his remaining strength only to raise a finger to touch the chest. Because, you are in here. You are in my heart, my world, how can I ever give you up? Di Xiaowan's hand suddenly froze, her tears no longer able to be controlled as it rained down in a torrential tide due to all the emotions inside. Finally, as if saying his last will, state teacher's life signature ceased to exist, his finger also dropping back down into an unmoving state. There's no longer any warmth left in those eyes as it stared upwards into the air. For her, I'll give up my life. As long as she's okay, anything is fine. Realizing this was it, the demon princess grasped her own head in utter agony. No words could describe her own emotions, nor any action could elevate the pain thumping from within. State teacher is dead? The one who kept waiting for me for over a millennium, he's dead? Ugh, yes. She howled out in dreadful agony, causing all those who could hear this voice to react in kind. You clearly promised me that you will protect me for life. Why did you go back on your words and leave me? What? Why must you leave me behind? Almost wrenching like she's going to throw up at the mere idea of them being apart. Didn't you want to marry me? Come back. If you come back then I'll marry you right away. I'll give you hundreds of babies, I'll give you anything as long as you come back. I'll be good and never bully you again. Why is everyone I know leaving me one after another? It hurts so much. State teacher's injury, 3. Tears continued to drip down onto the man's face, yet it could not awaken his consciousness. State teacher, I am afraid of the dark. Will you come back, okay? She sat on the ground, holding the man's head like she's caressing the most precious treasure in the world. In this life it was always you who did the chasing and accompanying me, so, if there's a next life, I will be the one to watch over you. When the elders of the Demon Council arrived on the scene, this was the tragic picture they saw of the princess. Then their hearts tensed into a ball upon realizing how lifeless State Teacher lay on the ground. They're shocked, but also angry beyond belief. What happened to State Teacher? How is he? Who came to cause trouble in the demon realm? Who killed him? Fourth Elder was the first to come forward to ask the questions they all had. He's grieving as much as everyone else. In the demon realm, if there's no Song around to act as their backbone, then it's State Teacher who holds that position. My State Teacher is not dead, he will never die. As if triggered by the truth, Xianxia angrily snapped back at the old elder, his eyes filled with a sense of madness that sent shivers into those who met her gaze. I won't allow anyone to smear my State Teacher. I won't let them say he's dead. Princess, Fourth Elder wanted to say something then but knew it's futile. Then without any signal, the demon princess suddenly drew a dagger from her storage ring, which scared the daylights out of all these demons. Princess, what are you trying to do? The group exclaimed, panic increasing to the upper limit. They already lost one of their backbones, they mustn't lose the princess as well. Don't come near me. Xianxia warned those who attempted to grab her dagger, this is my business, none of you are allowed to come near, otherwise I will follow State Teacher to the afterlife. Her words frightened the living souls out of the demon elders. They didn't dare to move an inch and could only watch with fearful eyes at the princess. State Teacher, I want you to never forget me even in the next life. That said, the girl immediately stabbed the dagger into her own chest, letting the blood to bleed out from the wound. Princess! Red in his eye due to the urgency, Fourth Elder could tear his own hairs out at the situation. What to do? If this continues, then the princess really will die. We can't lose two of them in one day. Despite the outcry, the princess merely ignored their words and pulled the dagger out from her chest where a round golden bead rolled forward as a result. This object was similar to a Dan pill, yet the glossy shine on it told everyone it wasn't. Beast Pearl? The gathered crowd flew into an uproar at the sight. Demonkind are a known hierarchy species. The lowest of the low could only stay in their beast form despite their strength growing stronger over time. Rarely do they have the opportunity to gain another form unless they come across an opportunity. For example, the demonic beasts in the human world was the perfect example of this. They are able to communicate and grow with age, but they are not able to take on human form unless they come to the demon realm and be guided through the process of evolution. As for the higher-tiered species like that romping tigress who went to the celestial realm with Chu and company, she's inherently able to transform into her human form with age, all because of her superior bloodline. In regards to Xianxia's action here, as the ruling class in this realm, she has a third ability, and that was this golden beast pearl. Unlike all demons who hold a core within their body, which houses their life essence and would die without the thing, the princess here could manifest her powers into a second object to give others. So what does that mean? She wouldn't die, of course, but she would revert to being a powerless demonling and need to start from the very beginning of her cultivation. Leaning down with the beast pill in her mouth, Xianxia lets her tongue do the work of giving the guy her all. State Teacher, no matter how many times you are reborn, you will always be within my grasp. And from now on your path to cultivation will be. State Teacher's injury, 4. But State Teacher, I really don't want to leave you for even a moment. That said, the princess closes her eyes to recall back to the moment where the man fell. She's remembered it all now due to the trauma. They were nearly wed back then. If not for that incident, perhaps she would have already been his wife by now, and they'd be with children all around like a happy family. Princess, let's go back to the palace first, and your injuries. Fourth Elder slowly stepped forward and attempts to persuade the girl only to be rejected in the next with a shake of the head. This wound is nothing. The hurt State Teacher took in my stead is far more painful. The her in the past would have been afraid of pain, afraid of death, but this precious and kind man has died, that means so does her heart that went with him. What does it matter for a small little hole to be in her chest? It doesn't hurt at all because her whole being was numb to the bone. Fourth elder opened his mouth only to look down at the lifeless body on her laps. Coming up with an idea, "Princess, if you don't treat your injury then state teacher will surely be distressed. He isn't, his soul hasn't completely left yet, I'm sure he's still watching you." Di Xiaowan's body went rigidly stiff, voice sounding soulless in her own right. "I mustn't worry state teacher. You are right, I need a Dan pill, I need some medicine." In her panic, the demon princess clumsily dropped a bunch of the medicine bottles she found inside her storage ring. Nevertheless, she did manage to pop one of the proper ones into her mouth after some struggle. She's always been nitpicky when it came to cleanliness, but right now was not that time. Sure enough, the wound in her chest swiftly closed and the blood quenched after ingesting the pill. Making a sad and pitiful smile. "You see, state teacher? I am good, you don't need to worry about me, I can take care of myself. Why don't you open your eyes and see for yourself?" Clearly, the heartache and unstable emotions continued to dominate that poor mind, which caused the grieving lass to say that last bit of irrational request. Letting go of your loved ones are always the hardest after all. "Princess, who exactly is it that came to murder state teacher?" Fourth elder could not hold back his rage anymore after hearing those heart-wrenching words. Though reluctant, the demon princess eventually looked up to meet the old demon's gaze. "I do not know. I don't know anything, all I know is that I caused state teacher's death. This is all my fault, I damned state teacher with my own foolishness and blindness." It's then when the mood has hit a standstill and left them all extremely heavy and dark, several familiar auras suddenly caught their attention. It's coming fast and roused the group to look up towards at the source direction. Of them Di Xiaowan should be the most excited here, but events so far dampened any mood for joy in this case. Meanwhile over in the sky, Di Tsang and Bai Yen had come to a halt by this point. They could also sense the strange atmosphere gripping the demon realm. Sweeping their gaze across the horizon, their attention soon fell upon the sea of flowers where they saw state teacher's blood-stained body. "Mother!" Bai Xiaochen tugs at his mother's sleeve after finding this oppressive air discomforting. "What happened to auntie and state teacher? Why can't I sense state teacher's energy signature?" Coming back to attention, fourth elder was the first to cry out after recognizing the faces. "King, queen, prince, thank goodness you're back. State teacher, he's dead. Won't give up on state teacher. He's dead?" Di Tsang's expression finally showed a bit of change from his forever frosty appearance. He bolted down like a lightning and rushed to his sister's side where he confirmed the truth with his own eyes. Yen, do you have any way to save him?" The demon king swings his head around and asked. Bai Yen also descended after hearing the news, but her complexion didn't look well after getting the question. After a brief pause, she shakes her own head in denial. I'm sorry Di Tsang, state teacher is gone. She's a very capable alchemist, one of the finest in all the realms at this point, but not even Bai Yen could raise the dead who had already passed. Originally Di Xiaowan could still hold a flicker of excitement in her eyes at the arrival of her greatest idol, but that hope died out following those words. It's a heavy blow to an already unstable soul. So even sister-in-law's ability is not enough. Does that mean I will have to be forever separated from state teacher? Biting her lips until it's a thin white line, Di Xiaowan's eye showed nothing but despair. It's a void that carried no light. Di Xiaowan, do you know who did this to state teacher? Di Tsang's cold frosted voice cuts in then, his calm demeanor starting to fade and replaced by a brewing storm. A bit shook by this voice which should have sounded familiar yet not in this case, the demon princess appears startled in the face before answering. I don't know, that person said he's here to seek revenge on you brother. He wanted to kill me in order to make you suffer. State teacher protected me and died in order to not let that person succeed. Her voice sounded so weak that it could hardly be heard. Nevertheless, it was enough to make the demon king's fist clench into a ball and cause the sky to bloom a stormy cloud above their heads. I see, Di Tsang locks eye with his own sister and spoke in a very powerful voice. I will avenge state teacher's death. Whoever did this will pay for what he done. That vow didn't bring any comfort to Di Xiaowan's heart though. Clasping onto her lost man's head with those frail arms, revenge. It won't bring state teacher back, will it? Di Tsong, you go and investigate the ones responsible for this. Making a pained face as well when giving the grieving girl a glance, I will stay behind with Xiaowan. Everyone expected the Demon King to walk away without any delay, but he did not. Rather, Di Tsong kept looking down at his younger sister and even showed a flicker of heartache himself. This of course didn't escape Bai Yan's sharp eyesight. Don't assume just because this guy always behaves so serious around the sweet Dumbakluts that he doesn't care. He does and would show those emotions when required. Very well, Yen Yen, I'll leave her in your care. Fourth Elder, come with me back to the palace. Yes, sire. Fourth Elder complied and signaled those who came with him to depart, but not before giving one final glance of compassion at the princess and lifeless body on her lap. Auntie, don't cry. If you cry then state teacher will be very sad. Bai Xiachen timely came over to wipe some of the tears coming down the princess's cheek. He's always been very sensible and knew this was the time he needed to act. Hurt as she may be, Di Xiaowan did manage to pull a faint smile and return to the boy's comfort. It's okay, your auntie, I won't cry, I won't worry anyone. Won't give up too. If state teacher must leave then I will at least let him leave with reassurance. Even if it hurts to no end, I won't show it to anyone. I will never be able to accommodate anyone else in my heart ever again. Auntie? Di Ling Yen the peachy baby girl and Di Jin Tian the little glutton had also come up from the back, their appearance that of some well-behaved children. Auntie, Jin Tian appears confused by the scene since he's never experienced death yet, so he didn't know what to make of this. Why is the big brother over there sleeping on the ground? Won't he be cold? Should we take him back home to sleep? Di Ling Yen the twin sister may be the same age, but she's not new to the concept of death. Upon hearing her brother's careless remark, she instinctively reached over to pinch the little glutton's hand, which only made the boy show an aggrieved face as he bit his thumb. That's right, Di Xiaowan didn't get angry at the uncomfortable comment, rather she only smiled and began caressing the cold face of her lost husband. Your uncle is sleeping, he's tired. From now on it will be me watching over him. Bai Yan's been holding her goddaughter Dragoni the entire time, so she wasn't in a position to run over and hug the sorrowful princess, but her heart ached just as much regardless. Taking in a deep breath to gather herself in order to not sound so sad as well, she reaches out with her free hand to touch that shoulder to apologize. I'm sorry, Xiaowan, I came back too late. Going stiff for a split second, the princess almost wanted to shout when she realized the outburst would only hurt the only family she has. Shaking that head, no, don't say that, this is not your fault, sister-in-law. Those people who attacked us are very powerful. Even if you and brother came back, it might have turned out even worse. Her only blessing now was that Bai Yan and Di Tsong didn't remain in the demon realm, that way she wouldn't need to lose more relatives. Listen to me, Xiaowan, the demon queen's expression gets serious. As long as state teacher's soul isn't destroyed then he isn't truly dead. Am I not walking around just fine before you? If your brother was able to bring me back on the verge of annihilation then state teacher will one day return too. The princess naturally knows what the lady was referring to. As her mouth moved to say something, only silence came of her actions in the end. I want to ask you this one question, Xiaowan. Are you willing to wait 20 years for him? Bai Yan asks in earnest. Lowering her head at the idea, I have never left state teacher for that long. Sister-in-law, I am really afraid, I am so used to having him by my side. Without him, what am I going to do on my own? Showing a bittersweet smile, the princess looked so sad and pitiful. Xiaoyan, Bai Yan's female cousin, is right, I should have married him when I had the chance. Now it's too late for regrets. Upon reaching the end of her sentence, Di Xiaowan's eyes once again reverted back to a hollow and dull look like her soul just got spirited away. This greatly pained the demon queen who stood at the side. After all, their family, how could family not be hurt when one's in pain? Xiaowan, if state teacher reincarnates and becomes a new person, someone that isn't as handsome or good-tempered, will you still like him? Without hesitation, the dull-looking princess nodded her head without looking at anyone specific. I like state teacher because it is him, Not because he's handsome or good-tempered. I will love him no matter what he becomes. Won't give up. 3. In this case, you do not have to worry too much. When a cultivator reaches a certain point, they will always have an opportunity to be reborn to a new life if their soul isn't destroyed. I will help you locate State Teacher's new self and let the both of you continue your story. And since you left your beast pearl inside his soul, you won't have to wait long. Bai Yan only needed a glance to realize what the demon princess has done. I understand, sister-in-law. Biting her lips into a thin line, Di Xiaowan's eyes still contained an unmistakable glint of sorrow. You don't need to worry about me. I will not do anything foolish during this period. If I follow State Teacher, then I won't be able to remember him. By then, how am I supposed to reunite with him in the future? I won't die. I won't let anything get in my way. Therefore, no matter how painful it was to survive on her own, she would not die. 20 years, that time frame was nothing to a demon's lifespan. That's good to hear. It's relieving to hear you're able to think positively. Bai Yan raises her hand to bring the princess into a warm hug, knowing full well how much it hurts regardless of the strong front she portrayed. Xiaowan, I will always be here so you don't need to bear all the pain on your own. Making a slight tremble at the kind words, Sister, I know. I promise to protect myself and not do anything stupid. So, don't leave me please. Closing her eyes, Di Xiaowan's figure was so frail and weak that it looked like she could be blown away by a mere gust of wind. State Teacher has already died. If anything happens to Di Tsong or Bai Yan, or even worse, the kids. It doesn't take much to imagine what would happen then to the demon princess. She would likely lose her mind and commit suicide with them. Okay, I promise to not leave you. We'll all live together for many years to come. Bai Yan caresses the demon princess's hair, her voice consoling and gentle like how she does to her own children. In return, you must promise me to better yourself, Xiaowan. You will grow stronger and kinder so that when you meet your State Teacher, he won't be able to forget you, okay? Letting a trickle of tear to come out of her eye, Di Xiaowan tries to hold back her own sobbing. I will. 20 years. By then I will let State Teacher's new self be dazzled by my glory. I will make him fall heads over heels for me again. Let's take State Teacher's body back to the palace first. We need to prepare his funeral and send his soul properly. Bai Yan's gaze slowly fell down to the already cold corpse, her hands unintentionally clenching up as the anger swirled within those irises. I will find the ones responsible for this. They will not hide from me even if they run to the end of the world. Blood for blood, life for life. I'll listen to your decision, sister-in-law. Perhaps those words did have an effect and cheered up the demon princess. Right as Di Xiaowan wanted to pull herself up, something incredible occurred. State Teacher's body suddenly became enshrouded in a brilliant white glow, and in the corpse's place was now a silvery fox lying on the girl's lap. Won't give up. 4. Wrapping her arms tightly around the silvery fox, Di Xiaowan's eyes were full of pain when looking down at the unmoving fella. Don't worry, State Teacher. I will definitely find you again after 20 years. No one can separate us. So, until we meet again, you mustn't let any other female near you. I won't lose my position as your wife to someone else. You must wait for me. Her crying voice spread into the night, making Bai Yan's heart feel extremely heavy. However, the demon queen did not continue her consoling words though like before, only patting her friend on the shoulder in silence. She knows, whatever word she utters would be pointless. Understanding the support, Di Xiaowan wiped the tears from her eyes and forced a pitiful smile that wouldn't fool anyone. I'm okay now, sister-in-law, let's go back. I'm afraid State Teacher will be cold. Xiaowan? Bai Yan murmurs, her voice croaking like she's also about to tear up. Did you see, sister-in-law? State Teacher didn't revert back to his fox form right away. He's probably worried about me being tired from carrying him. That's why he did so just now. He's looking out for me. Bai Yan's mouth visibly twitched at that idea. State Teacher is already dead. How can he know when to control his body? Of course, she could not say this sentence aloud, only silently murmuring that in the heart as she hugged the grieving girl from the side in support. Yes, State Teacher is always looking out for you. Maybe he will even remember everything once you go meet him again in 20 years. showing a sad face again at the mention of their separation. I will take good care of myself, I won't make state teacher worry. Sister-in-law, let's go back to the palace, I want to send him off myself. The demon princess knows this might be their last time together, even so, she won't give up. So what if there's a high chance that her husband-to-be won't remember her in the new incarnation? She won't give up. Jin Ting Ling Yen, come help your auntie. Bai Yen tells her twins. Okay, it's the peachy baby girl who spoke first and led the way by holding onto the princess's hand. Auntie, don't be sad, Ling Yen will accompany you home. Auntie. The little glutton quickly got the hint and follows up in his own way using that baby fat smile of his. Uncle is only sleeping, he will wake up after a good rest. Don't worry, I will protect you until he does, okay? Those warming words actually brought some light into Di Xiaowan's colorless world. Nodding slightly with her head as confirmation, Auntie here will wait for your uncle, no matter the years, I will wait. Looking at the three slowly moving figures, Bai Yen promptly casts her gaze down over to the two older kids. Xiachen, Dragoni, those two are too young and can only act cute before your aunt. In the future you two must pay more closer attention lest she does anything silly, otherwise I can't feel at ease. The steam bun nodded seriously, don't worry mother, I will keep a close eye on auntie during this period. You and Batty father can go off and find the murderer, we must avenge state teacher's death. Although Bai Xiachen didn't have a lot of contact with that kind and gentle man, thus leaving a thin impression, however, that doesn't mean he couldn't relate to his aunt losing the man she loves. That's family they just lost. Little Rice returns, 1. Bai Xiachen pursed his lips, this world has too many bad guys, too many of them. The funeral for state teacher was held in a grand fashion a day later, drawing nearly all of the demon realm's notable figures for the occasion. However, the mood didn't bring happiness or joy like Bai Yan's wedding, only a looming cloud of gloom for all those attendees. Thankfully for the demon princess, her older brother the king didn't bury the silvery fox in some sort of underground tomb or cremation, rather state teacher was preserved inside an ice coffin of grand construction, thus effectively allowed the girl to visit every day to help calm her dreadful mood. Keeping a few ice coffins may be hard for most people, but the demon realm had this much resource at hand. After a couple of weeks later, calm returns to the demon realm. It's just that everyone knows a storm was brewing, a big one at that. Auntie, Bai Xiachen saw his aunt coming out of the icy tomb and quickly stood up. Are we heading home for the day? Making a shallow smile with her frail face, Di Xiaowan caresses her nephew's head. You know you don't have to follow me every day like this, I won't do anything rash. Shaking his little head like a rocking drum. That won't do, mother won't be at ease unless I'm around. Auntie, don't be too sad, okay? State teacher will definitely return one day, and if he doesn't, I will go and get him personally. A sting pierced into the demon princess's heart. She's overwhelmed by how sensible this steam bun was behaving. From the beginning she's been wanting a child like Bai Xiachen, hence her initial acceptance of marrying state teacher. But now, the only one that's left was herself. He's grown so much in the past year. Xiachen is already up to my waist. Of course, our Xiachen is the best, you will definitely bring your uncle back. Despite the remark, the hollow void in the lady's iris didn't escape the steam bun's keen senses. Bai Xiachen knows, something has died in his aunt's heart and nothing could fill it. She's so bleak that it's hurting him inside as well. I'm not just saying that, auntie. I will definitely bring uncle back and have him marry you. Afterwards both of you can make lots of babies. Radiating confidence, Bai Xiachen's attitude was quickly starting to resemble his old man's dominating nature. It's literally a mini version of Deet Song at this point. Warmed to the heart by that, thank goodness my big bro married your mother, thus giving birth to you. Auntie here is so fortunate to have a nephew like you, now I won't feel so lonely with the two of you around. Auntie, Batty father is only bad at expressing himself, he always looked out for you and everyone close to him. He's not bad like everyone makes him out to be. I know, Di Xiaowan said, he only claims to hit me if I mess up but never does it. And like state teacher, he will secretly drive away those bad people who try to take advantage of me. I know my big bro is good to me like, stopping there, A gloom once again shrouded over the princess's figure, bringing the boy into a tight hug. So, you don't have to worry about me misunderstanding my brother. I am not a blind person. I can see those who are kind to me. Little Rice returns, too. Di Xiaowan could be silly and slow at times, but she would never mistake those who are nice and kind to herself. She's of pure heart, not a fool. Then I am relieved. Bai Xiachen exhales a long sigh. Reaching out to give his auntie a hug. Let's hurry back home. Mother told me she's making food for us and is waiting. It's been so long since I ate Mother's cooking, so I can't wait. Charmed by how gluttonous the steam bun was behaving, Di Xiaowan wipes away the thin layer of fluid from her eye and chuckled. Okay, let's head home before the food gets cold. But before leaving, the demon princess didn't forget to give a fleeting glance back towards the ice tomb where her eyes surged with conviction. State teacher, no matter where you are, I will find you even if it takes me to the end of the world. I won't abandon our relationship. In the main dining hall of the demon palace, a table has been placed with plenty of dishes that left the room filled with delectable aromas. It's enough to make the unaware drooling all the way out the door. Jin Tian, the little glutton, got hit the hardest here in this case. He's always been fond of eating, so his ability to hold back was the weakest. However, thanks to his twin sister's wary gaze and repeated slapping, the boy couldn't reach his hand out and grab what he wanted. Jin Tian, you mustn't eat yet. We need to wait for Auntie and Big Brother first. The words weren't meant as a threat, but it only made the baby boy all the more aggrieved and sadder. How could he not be sad? There's a table of food prepared by his mother before his very eye that's radiating aromas that could drive any child screaming and crying if not eaten. I'll wait for Auntie and Big Brother to come back then. Mother said Auntie is in a poor mood lately. I must be good. I mustn't make Mother sad. It's just some food, I can hold it in. I'm a man. With that thought in mind, the little glutton gulped and heavily forced the saliva back down into his throat. He's resisting well against his greatest desire. Mother, Auntie and I are back. It's then when Dragoni had finished carrying the latest dish out, a tender voice called out and caught their ears. Jin Tian reacted very strongly to this and nearly rolled off his own stool. Big Brother and Auntie is back. Does that mean I can start eating? Auntie, the twin sister on the other hand, stood up and gave a loud reply instead. Although the little glutton was a bit duller than his twin, it doesn't mean he couldn't act responsibly when required. Auntie, come eat. Against the double soft cuddly assault of these two, Di Xiaowan's heart melted away and found peace. A rare thing in these past few days since state teacher's death. You don't have to wait for me in the future, you know. No, Ling Yan shook her head immediately. Mother taught us to respect our elders. Father is too busy to be around to accompany us, but Auntie is here. Me and Jin Tian will wait. We are not hungry. Gulping at that last word, the little glutton suppresses his desire and followed up. That's right, Auntie. We are not hungry, so hurry and come eat with us. Coincidentally, Bai Yan had also come out from the kitchen with the soup ready. If not for Di Xiaowan's poor mood, she would not personally cook anything herself. As a result, Bai Xiachen hadn't been able to eat his mother's cooking for a long time. Little Rice returns. 3. Right as Bai Yan's about to lay down the dish and take a seat herself, the demon queen suddenly picked up on a couple of energy signatures quickly drawing close. Squinting those eyes to conclude who they are, a flash of bright light flickered in her eyes. It looks like I won't be able to stay for this meal. As anticipating as he was about to eat his mother's cooking after so long, Bai Xiachen was more curious about the reasoning for that comment. Why mother? The three of them are back. 3. Biting her chopstick, Di Xiaowan turns to ask as well since she's also curious. Isn't Little Rice, Tiger, and Singy Dragon only 2? Why is there suddenly 3? Sister-in-law, what did you tell them to do that they would bring someone else along? Bai Yan made a meaningful smile at their question. You are forgetting about Black Turtle. That instantly brought a touch of surprise to the princess's face. Black Turtle? You found him already? It's during the time I was gone in the celestial realm. I went to the place where Black Turtle resided and brought him home. All of you stay and eat, I'll go meet them first. Bai Yan normally wouldn't just leave her family behind for no reason, it's just that she hasn't forgotten about the promise with Suzaku the Vermilion Bird. Back then that phoenix claimed she had something for herself if she could gather the other 3 sacred beasts. Now that they are back, it's time she went and retrieved said item. Mother, I'll go with you. Bai Xiachen jumps up from his own stool. I haven't seen little Rice for so long, I miss him too. In this world for the steam bun, that white tiger held a very special position in his heart. Their childhood friends, the type that grew up together side by side and took the fault for his own mischievous deeds. Naturally he must go meet this friend that's been gone for so long. That's fine, you come along then. Bai Yen didn't reject the proposal and led the way. Not far away after leaving the palace door, the demon queen could see the 3 black dots in the sky that's quickly descending to their position. In the middle would be a woman in green, her face carrying a heroic feel. This would of course be Xing the Azure Dragon. Then beside to the left would be a man donning a deep black robe and warmly smiling at herself. This would be Black Turtle who had an air of a scholar. And then to the right. Well, Bai Yen expected a white tiger and instead found a young handsome boy that hasn't quite shed his youth-like air yet. At first the demon queen became perplexed by the sight, but she soon recognized who this new boy was. Little Rice, didn't you say you don't want to take on a human form because it's not as mighty looking as your tiger form? Blushing red in the face, the young boy quipped a stammering reply. Xingyi could no longer hold back her laughter and blurted out the truth. That's easy to explain, mistress. Little Rice made a bet with Black Turtle and he lost. The consequence is him taking a transformation Dan pill and him turning out like this. Little Rice twitched in the mouth at being teased. Can you stop mentioning that already? Alright, mistress, is that crazy lass Huang Xiaoing around? I don't want to be here if she is. His eyes quickly and carefully scanned the area in a wary manner. That face told everyone how much he disliked being chased after by a female. Good thing that mad lass isn't around, otherwise she will never let me go in this form. Unfortunately for Little Rice, his sense of security didn't last for even a minute when a hurricane blew right into him. Next thing he knew was a pair of arms wounding tightly around his neck and a pair of legs locking onto his own waist like he's been caught by a crane. Husband, you're finally back in the demon realm. Oh, how I missed you. Huang Xiaoing the tigress gleefully bemoans like a good little wife, her breast repeatedly rubbing against his to let their body interact. Flushing hard until it's a cherry red, Little Rice snaps. You crazy woman, who said I am your husband? You got the wrong person. The tigress blinked and wrinkled her nose as she sniffed his scent. No, I am not mistaken, you are my husband Little Rice. I am following you for life, you won't lose me so easily. Little Rice returns, for you. The teenager forcibly removed the tigress from himself while giving his mistress an aggrieved look. Mistress, do you not love me anymore? Why did you let this crazy lass into the palace? Help me get rid of her. This crazy girl, is she not embarrassed by clinging onto a man's body in broad daylight? Furthermore, she keeps calling me her husband at first sight. Like does she do that at every whim or with every male tiger she sees? At the thought of this, the teenager's face sank a little more as he shot an accusing stare towards Huang Xiaoing. No matter what. I never want to be with such an open and crazy girl. Xiaoing is here to see Xiaowan so I can't kick her out, now can I? Bai Yen Sensei, I wish you luck. Look of her own. You take care. The teenager's face went green and was ready to cry. Can't drive away this crazy girl? Does that mean I will have to struggle with her every time I come to the palace? Little Rice, I miss you so much. Bai Xiachen rushed past his mother's side Tihen and gave the teenager a big hearty hug. I don't even know what to do without you during this period. That remark actually brought the crying teenager to tears due to how moved he was inside. As expected of my little young master. It's worth being his scapegoat for all those years in the past. Little master, I did not know you loved me this much. I'm so moved. Instead of following up with a compliment to that remark, Bai Xiachen's face suddenly got all stern and serious. Little Rice, you are overthinking this. Without you during this period I had no one to be my scapegoat. Although there's no one around to take my snacks, it doesn't compare with having someone else take the fault for my pranks. Thankfully I had Yellowy the big dog from Batty Father's household on Earth. That big dog was so handy that he took the fault twice for me. Poor Yellowy, If the pervy mutt overheard the opinion from the steam bun, he would surely be heartbroken and roll over. Of course, that possibility was impossible, so it's of no fault to anyone aside from Little Rice. The teenager looked so sad and resentful that it's heart-wrenching. So my existence is only to be used as a scapegoat? The steam bun nodded earnestly. What else did you think? Don't stop me, I'm going to jump into the river. Don't stop me, I don't want to live anymore. With a swing, the tiger boy rushed for the nearest river he could find. He originally expected the others to stop him by pulling at his arm, but who would have guessed none of these so-called family and friends budged. In fact, they were so motionless that it was shocking when he took a peek. Take Huang Xiaoying the tigress for example. She should have been the first to run over and stop him, yet the woman only stood there and stared. That's ridiculous and unreasonable considering all the words she spelled so far. Why aren't any of you stopping me? Little Rice asks after coming up to the edge of the water. Huang Xiaoying spoke like a good little wife. You told us not to pull you back. Am I not a good and obedient wife? Having one's heart broken was one thing, having his heart shatter and then stomped was a whole another matter. That's what's happening here to Little Rice's poor little soul. Nearly bursting into tears, what have I done that you all must do this to me? Hee, I'm just teasing you, Little Rice. I actually really miss you. Bai Xiachen figured his little prank was about right and decides to stop there. It's about time. Little Rice sniffles his nose and turned to the demon queen. Mistress, you said Huang Xiaoying is here to see the princess. Did something happen to her highness? Bai Yan's heart trembled at the question but knew this matter could not be hidden from them. State teacher, he's dead. State teacher's dead? A very surprised look gripped the teenager's face. State teacher's dead? Something that big occurred in the demon realm? How did it happen? The princess likes the guy so much, she won't be able to stand it. You're able to see Xiao Wan like state teacher? Bai Yan asks with a raised brow. Puckering his lips at the remark, only a fool would not see it. The princess is always so happy when she speaks of state teacher, always saying how excellent and kind he is. Who wouldn't be able to tell she likes him? Bai Yan smiled bitterly, but Xiao Wan is that fool, only she never realized that. Wan, if Xiao Wan had known about her own feeling, if he had known his heart, now, will not be so remorseful for life. Come on, let's go to the Demon Mountain, I'm sure Suzuka misses us very much. Forming a faint smile, Bai Yan leads the way towards the sacred mountain. As usual, the great demon mountain continues to radiate off a white brilliant glow, giving off a sacred and divine sensation to those who witness its glory. For Suzuku the vermilion bird, she's been long accustomed to this environment. However, her boring days would soon come to an end when she sensed the familiar auras quickly drawing near. Queen! With a look of surprise in the face, the fiery red lady promptly stood up and ran towards the base of her abode to wait. Black Turtle, you're also back. She only needed a glance to recognize that black-robed figure. This brought joy to the vermilion bird, but as soon as she shifted to the lady in green, which was Xing-Yi the Azure Dragon, the phoenix instantly deflated and got all sad in the face. Why did Azure Dragon have to be reborn as a female? It would have been better if it was Black Turtle who turned into a woman. Oh why? 1,000 years ago, this phoenix didn't merely treat her companion Azure Dragon as a friend, she also secretly held a crush for that guy. So imagine having your crush be reborn as a woman like yourself? Wouldn't that make her a lesbian if she continued to pursue that love? Xing-Yi noticed the blaming look flooding out of Suzaku's gaze of course. Out of discomfort, this heroic-looking dragoness instinctively took a step back after landing and coughed to clear her throat. Suzuku, it's been a long time. Regarding the past, the dragoness may not remember much of it, but the beautiful lady before herself gave off a trustworthy feeling, that much she's certain. Yet the next action from Suzuku completely scared the daylights out of Xing-Yi because she actually came forward and groped her breasts with both hands. Startled like any woman should at having their important part groped, even if it's by another female, she jumped and cried out, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I wanted to see when those two big balls will disappear." "Do you intend to be a woman all your life?" Suzaku states this as a matter of fact. Quickly shielding her own chest with those hands, the dragoness turns to Bai Yen for help. Mistress, Siza, did she lose her mind? Gently rubbing her own temple like a headache's coming, Bai Yen suddenly sighed for some reason. Bai Xiachen immediately picked up on this sense and focused in with a worried face. Mother, are you not feeling well? Bai Yen shook her head. I just realized something when watching Tsing Yi. Blinking his big innocent eyes. That is, after reincarnating, one's gender isn't up to the individual's wishes. Say, state teacher became a woman, how will Xiao Wan cope with that? The steam bun got quiet for a long while before weakly speaking up. Auntie loves state teacher a lot. I'm sure she will love him regardless of the outcome. Auntie wouldn't mind something like that, would she? And how do you know state teacher will like another female? Ruffling his own hair like he's going to go crazy, Bai Xiachen became stumped. I promised Auntie that I will bring state teacher back home no matter what. If he doesn't agree, then I will tie him up and do it. He will marry Auntie and take her as his wife. Though a bit brutish, Bai Yen had to agree with her boy's decision. After rubbing her own chin at the plausibility of that scheme, she nods. All right, that's decided then. If state teacher doesn't agree, then we will tie him up and bring him home. No matter what, he's stuck being the son-in-law of the demon realm. He won't escape that fate. Suzai, too. For the divine beasts gathered here on this mountain, their only reactionary reflex would be to shudder from the chill running down their backs. As expected of Bai Xiachen, he's truly the mistress's son. Even when talking about kidnapping someone, they're of the same opinion. Little Rice was the most affected and nearly cried in his voice. Mistress, can you stay away from that Huang Xiaoying from now on? Bai Yen casts a confused glance at the little feline boy. Why? I'm afraid you're on too good of a term with her. What if she suddenly gets the idea of kidnapping me? So, you need to keep your distance from her. I don't want to marry such a crazy woman. Marrying that sort of crazy one is the same as taking my life. That's not right on your part, Little Rice. Huang Xiaoying can be a little crazy at times, but she's got a lot of good points too. Why do you dislike her so much? In the Steambun's mind, that tigress does act a bit crazy at times, but that shouldn't warrant such strong dislikes from his friend. You're making it out too lightly, little master. Imagine you meeting such a crazy woman like that. Would you be able to stay calm? The tiger boy explains with an aggrieved voice. Bai Zaken merely blinked like he didn't get it. I already have Ling Yen and Dragoni as my sisters. Why do I need another girl from the outside? You on the other hand don't have a single one aside from Huang Xiaoying. The girl? Little Rice paused for a short moment before exploding with a jump. Can you even call that a girl? Huang Xiaoying is already 100 years old. That's an old woman. Furthermore, she is so bold and open with none of the air of a fine lady. In saying this, the tiger boy had indirectly offended Suzuku, who's standing to the side. There's a darkened air exuding out of the lady's aura, and by the time the foolish tigerling realized his own folly, pyres of flame had already burst forward to give the phoenix an ominous and threatening picture. 100 years is considered old in your opinion? I've lived for 1,000 years. What does that make me? Little Rice shrank at the frightening temperament and hurried to hide behind Bai Yan's back. Mistress, can you save me? Instead of saving though, the demon queen narrowed her eyes in at the young feline. 100 years is an old woman, eh? How about Deetsong? Wouldn't he be considered an old man in your eye? The tiger boy gulped, his face pale and antsy. Yes, Deetsong was indeed an old man in his eye, but how could Little Rice openly say that? He wouldn't dare. How is that possible? The king is handsome and peerless in all respect. How can he be an old man when he's so seductive? I will challenge anyone who says that. Making an angered face like he meant it, he attempts to cover his own hide in case the man somehow overhears. Mistress, Siza, I merely misspoke there. Huang Xiaoying is a young and beautiful tigress. She's not an old woman at all. 100 years, that's barely old enough to be an adult in demon age, really? Oh, then I will inform Deetsong about your view. I'm sure he will like it when he finds out he's seductive. I'm sure that will please him. Bai Yen smirks, the teasing fun flickering in her narrowed eyes. Little Rice's face went green with fright. He's really going to cry if he continues to dig his own grave. Mistress, when did you get so mean? Mother, Bai Xiachen giggles and tugged at her sleeve. Let's stop teasing him, look at how much he's shivering. I'm afraid he might really faint at this rate. It's not like you don't know how jumpy he is when frightened. That didn't help at all for the tiger boy's heart. The remark only made him all teary inside at being called a scaredy cat. Oh little rice, you need to stop being so scared all the time. Mother won't force you to marry anyone. Unless you are willing, that is. Now some would wonder why they would kidnap state teacher. Unlike with other people, that man truly loves the demon princess. He might not remember the past life, but he will, and once he does, a little kidnapping means nothing and would be of no consequence. Suzaku 3. Suzaku's expression got quieter after their little play. Queen, now that they have returned, we can also carry out the contracting ceremony with me. Afterwards, we need to go to a specific place. Okay, let's being then. With a serious face, Bai Yen nods in agreement. This time the bonding went as smoothly as things like this could go. Bai Yen herself still didn't unlock the past memories through this ritual, but Suzaku on the other hand got a total makeover in her whole appearance. Before she was like a waning beauty at the end of her ropes, but now she's glorious and shining, truly a scourge to all men alike since she could practically enslave those whom she deem a prey. The contract is completed, mistress. Please come with me now. The rest of you need to come too. I will need your help in what's to come. With a charming smile, she transforms into a bright red light and flew towards the peak of the mountain. She has been waiting here for them over a span of a millennium. It's time she brought this long journey to an end now that her 3 peers have returned. Nobody likes being stuck on a single spot and unable to leave. At the peak of this sacred mountain, there lied a strange altar-like gate. From above high nobody would be able to see this since it's covered in a shielding barrier, but once up close, those who come would be welcomed with a grand arrangement with 4 giant statues representing the 4 sacred beasts: white tiger, azure dragon, black turtle, and vermilion bird. Mother! Bai Xiachen found this setup to be a bit discomforting, so he anxiously grasped onto the demon queen's hand, his eyes vigilant and alarmed towards area. Bai Yen on the other hand didn't feel any danger or unease. Rather, her heart inwardly trembled once she laid her gaze on the construct. Without effort, her feet began to walk towards the giant bronze door in front. The reason I guarded this place for so long is for this very gate. To open it, us 4 sacred beasts must stand at the specific spot indicated by the statues. After saying that, Suzaku's body gradually enlarged and took on the form of a giant flaming bird to whisk through the air in a circling arc. Little Rice became ecstatic at the thought of taking his tiger form. He lost the bet with Black Turtle, so he had to keep being a boy, but now he's free. With a roar, his mighty form returns to stand guard at this mountain like an invincible war god. At the same time, Azure Dragon and Black Turtle also transformed, but unlike the majestic and searing heat of the bird and tiger, their bodies exuded a big puff of mist and watery droplets across the ground. All are equally majestic and mystique in their own right, just unique in regards to their own elements. However, in comparison to their individual might, the following disturbance after they took their respective spots were astronomically loud. The sky burned red, it's been lit aflame, a crimson blood color that boomed and rocked the ground like never before seen. It's as if someone or something powerful has been born into this world as a result of their actions. Not far away in the palace, Di Song had been discussing various matters of the realm with his subjects when this huge rocking quake brought them to attention. Majesty, said First Elder, who was the closest to the throne, I remember State Teacher mentioning Suzaku and the others are not ordinary demons, that they've existed since the beginning of our world. I'm sure the Queen will be fine, so you need not worry about the disturbance. Di Song makes a thoughtful face. I know they are not ordinary, there's no need to mention that to me. I have full trust in my wife's ability. Slightly startled by that response, First Elder quickly bent his head in apology. Didn't State Teacher say the king lost his memories? How come I got the feeling he's known about those 4 all along or something? First Elder, Di Song paused for a good moment before suddenly speaking, in the following 10 years I want you to pay attention to the human world. If there is any exceptional human that is born, bring me their details immediately. Heavenly Flame Monarch, 1. First Elder took a minute to react to that order since it came out of nowhere. Is there a reason for this, Your Majesty? State Teacher will be reincarnated in the human world. That said, Ditsong's lips ticked upwards into a cool smirk. Getting silent for a good while longer, the old senior hesitated to speak. That? Normally it's difficult to predict where one's soul is reborn. Majesty, how are you able to conclude State Teacher will be in the human world and not elsewhere? That you need not concern yourself, I have my means to send his next incarnation over there. You only need to make sure to locate his new self. Besides, Xiao Wan already gave the guy her own internal pearl. It's nearly impossible to not notice his signature when it comes. His talent will be so grand that anyone would take notice. I see. Though he says that, First Elder's mouth was openly twitching. So that's why the king is not around for the past days. He's been busy handling the matter with State Teacher's death. His Majesty is always like this, hard and cold on the surface but kind and persistent on the inside. I'm sure the princess will be pleased once she hears of this news. However, once the thought of the kind and gentle State Teacher not being around anymore brought the mood back down again in the elder's eye. He couldn't deny the recent period has been dark and grim. Enough of that. Did you find out who killed State Teacher yet? Do you know their origin? Ditsong asks with a storm brewing in his iris. The world always say demons are cruel and ruthless, but in reality, the love they held are only for their kind and those around themselves. I've asked the princess some more questions and all I got was that they are not from this place. Apparently, the only way they managed to come was through using that fox as a medium. Going by that trail, I can safely assume it's not the celestial realm who attacked us. That's a given. Without the celestial palace to act as a threat, there are none capable of openly attacking the demon realm anymore. In that case, there's only one possibility. The outer domains. Ditsong roars once the answer hit him, that voice murderous. Those people are from the outer domains. Unlike the celestial realm where the most powerful cultivators are usually around the demi-divine lord level, the outer domains are where the absolute strongest resided. It's not that this world couldn't produce powerful beings like a divine lord or true celestial. Rather, those who had reached this stage are already capable of breaking through the fabrics of reality, or in the case of a true celestial, they could in fact create their own space within the void and form a whole new world. Yes, Your Majesty, that is likely the case. According to the archives within the palace, those from the outer domains were capable of traversing between our worlds at ease several thousand years ago, but due to the constant wars and fighting of all those planes, one of the true celestials finally stepped in to put a stop to that barbaric age. From what I recall, that person was called Heavenly Flame Monarch. He used his own body to act as the sacrificial body to place a barrier between us and those from the outside. Now that he's thought back to the old knowledge, First Elder's breathing rhythm clearly grew faster, which showed how much it bothered him. Sire, if it's really the outer domains, then I'm afraid. Growing grim and dark in the face as well, Ditsong doesn't back down despite the threat. And what of it? If they dare to move against my people, then I don't care if it's a divine lord or true celestial, I will make all those who caused State Teacher's death pay for their transgression. Blood for blood, that's the ironclad law of our kind, don't forget that. Shaken and moved by that bravado, First Elder still felt somewhat uneasy inside but knew the king he serves wouldn't fail and would surely achieve such goal. The main task at hand would be to figure out the one responsible, only then could they move forward with the next plan. Sire, the only one who truly knows the one behind the attack is that little fox brought back by the princess. Unfortunately, that fox has died and her soul extinguished. I'm afraid our clues are completely cut off at this rate. Heavenly Flame Monarch, 2. First Elder raises his head and met Ditsong's gaze. The only thing we know is that Monarch has some sort of vendetta against you. Your Majesty, can you think of some enemy in the outer domains that would do this? Furrowing his brow, the Demon King appears displeased. If I can think of a name, then you think I would be here asking you? Stammering for a proper reply to that rebuke, the old senior quickly bowed his head in apology for saying something so stupid. Nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that they had no way to investigate the matter. Unless they could head out to the outside domains, What other means do they have? The Demon Mountain. Inside the Bronze Gate, Bai Yen had just finished adjusting her eyes to the bright light with her boy in tow when she noticed the walls around herself. This place she came into was a long corridor painted with murals depicting a series of demons bowing their heads toward a single entity sitting atop of a throne. She's seen this setup before, specifically the room where she saw those statues and the secret alchemic manual she got. Bai Yen naturally wanted to figure out who this individual was since the person would likely be the one responsible for all this. Sadly, that face on the wall had been blurred out perhaps with age or a deliberate attempt by the painter itself. She leaned more towards the latter since everything else in here appears pristine on the surface. Mother, what is all this? Bai Xiachen asks as he bit his thumb. Bai Yen smiled and explained what she knew. I am not certain either, but I've seen this arrangement before. The first time we're all in the form of statues that's neatly arranged like those in these wall paintings, but it didn't have the portrait of that woman at the end. I do remember the fox statue though. You see, son? That silver fox at the forefront is sprawled in a kneeling pose, yet its expression doesn't look submissive at all, does it? I can tell the lady who made this has a fantasy-prone personality. Mother, what is a fantasy-prone personality? The steam bun asks with a confused face. Patting her son's head to answer, it's when a person has an overactive imagination. Sometimes they are so deep into their fantasies that they can't distinguish between reality of imagination anymore. Enlightened, the steam bun heavily nods. I see. I feel so sad for that lady then. Why must she fantasize about all this? Isn't it better to live life as it is? I don't know. She's likely sick or something. Caressing her chin, Bai Yen suggests, let's go further inside. I want to see the sort of treasure in here that could make Suzaku willingly safeguard it for a millennium. Before long, the pair had come to the end where a table sat in the middle, its surface covered in dust and cracks like it would shatter with a single pat. Mother, do you know what that table is for? Bai Xiachen hurriedly ran over to check up on this where he found a small booklet at the top. Naturally, the boy wasted no time to offer it up to win some points. Bai Yen happy accepted the gift from her son and began to flip the pages. It's just that instead of getting through the book and be amazed by its content, she instead found a letter after the cover. It's a diary type of letter. Since then, my soul has been floating around in a perennial stasis. Others are unable to communicate with me, nor are they able to see me. All I can do is watch the world as an outsider to kill off my boredom. Heavenly Flame Monarch, 3. But the things in the world is nothing but fighting and killing, or seeking revenge to win the wife. It's honestly boring to the extreme, until I found that fool named Heavenly Flame anyways. In order to quell the war between the various domains, that fool did not hesitate to use his own body as a medium in order to seal the wormholes connecting all the worlds. Now, unless they are at the true celestial rank of their cultivation, they can't break through this barrier anymore and enter the celestial realm. Well, it worked out for me in the end anyways. After Heavenly Flame died, his soul became like mine and started to float around aimlessly. I found his soul and had quite the happy time talking with him after so long of being alone. Also, I grew a budding interest in life again from his stories, so I decided to go into the cycle of rebirth. I don't know when I will be able to come back here, to this place, and perhaps it will take generations of my new self until then. Regardless, I'm not different from others and don't want my years of cultivation and knowledge to go to waste, to be in vain. That's why I decided to write all of it in this book. If one is fated or just dumb lucky enough to come here, take it and use the knowledge to the best of your ability. Alright, I have one request for this though. In order to inherit my knowledge, you must conquer the group of demons here. If not able to, one shall be incinerated until their very soul is destroyed. If you, the one who reads this, is willing to accept my inheritance, the conditions that comes with it, turn to the second page of this book. Bai Xiachen also saw the letter since he kept poking his head up from the side. Mother, the lady said only those who conquered the demon realm can inherit her knowledge or be burned to death. Humming a brief pause, son, do you think I qualify? The bit about conquering the demons, that is. I guess so, mother. Bai Xiachen scratches the back of his head. You already conquered Baddie Father, the current king of the demons. And the next king is also your son. In my eye, that's as good as it comes when it came to conquering a place. I doubt the curse will work on you, mother. Isn't that right? Bai Yan didn't dwell on the issue and decisively turned to the second page. At the same time, the ancient book beamed a stream of light out from its content, instantly enshrouding her head in it. In that moment, countless images shot into Bai Yan's mind. First it was the disputes between humanity and demons alike. Then came the woman in red brandishing a long gleaming sword to slice out at her foes, each strike capable of slashing out the fabrics of reality. Bai Yan tried and tried to get a glimpse of that face while the glimpses flashed along, yet the long hair and insanely fast movement squashed any hope for that achievement. Next that came were the adventures and hurdles this lady faced. She saw untold numbers of demons and humans unlike, all very different compared to the current world. It's almost certain to Bai Yan this world depicted an age so old into the past that it's been long forgotten to the swirls of time. So the owner of this book is from an age beyond history? Why would her inheritance be on the demon mountain then? What sort of relationship does she have with the demon realm? The scenes eventually disappeared, yet the demon queen took much longer to digest its content with those closed eyes. And when she did come back to reality, she quickly came to the realization that the knowledge inside the book had directly imprinted itself onto her brain for future reading. Naturally, this brought a huge wave of excitement for Bai Yan's heart. She's already at the demi-divine lord level, advancing further would be extremely difficult without guidance, and now she's got it. Mother, what's wrong? Bai Xiachen worriedly pulled at her sleeve, his eyes anxious. Just now, the book, it disappeared. Showing a faint smile, the lady knew why her boy sounded so troubled and quelled it. It's okay, I merely read the content and took it in. During this period, I will stay here for training. Outer Domain 1. Okay, I will stay here too until you're finished. Bai Xiachen happily said, his big bright eyes shining with life. Inside a rustic study room, a man dressed in a long black robe has been staring out the window with a dark, gloomy face, the air around him oppressive and suffocating due to the foul events thus far. Monarch. A maid stepped forward from the doorway and respectfully bowed. Miss Yun Ro, she seeks an audience. The man frowned after hearing that name. Let her in then. Yes, Monarch. The maid complied and left. Moments later. Greetings, Monarch. Yun Ruo, she properly bowed her head in a respectful manner, her tone submissive and soft. Were you in the celestial realm recently? The man's indifferent and gloomy voice sent a shudder down the lady's spine, causing her white dress to flutter so slightly due to the vibration. Not dumb enough to think she could hide the fact, Yun Ruo, she decides to spill the truth. Yes, Monarch, I did go back to the celestial realm. I wanted to help deal with the demon realm, please forgive me. The man finally turned around and stopped using his back to face her. If something happens to you, I won't save you a second time. The lady's expression changed greatly as she hung her head even lower. I understand, Monarch. Say it, why did you come seek me today? Though indifferent, the cold demanding note in there told the other side this person doesn't like being bothered unless it's important. I wish to know why your monarchness wishes to destroy the demon realm. Is there some sort of dispute between you and them? Yun Ro, she timidly asks this, her voice so soft that it could melt hearts. In her mind, this person who's a monarch of a world was no different to any other men. As long as she uses her seductive charms, then she would be able to get anything out of him. It's just that the trickery has backfired. In this moment, only a disgustful light flickered within the individual's eye. It is no secret that Di Tsong killed my entire family, so I don't mind telling you this. I will have his head one day, and so will the demon realm be destroyed for being his. In that instant, a vicious poison burned within Yun Ruoshi's heart. He's lying to me. Di Tsong nearly died when confronting the celestial realm a millennium ago. How can someone like that kill this man's family? It doesn't make sense. No matter though, as long as they're at odds with each other, then I can use it to my advantage. Bai Yan, you will die one day by my hands, and it will be me who's laughing till the end. Inhaling deeply to gather her composure, Yun Ruoshi slowly got back up from her bowing posture. That is unforgivable, Monarch. How dare they hurt your family? Rest assured, Deed Song and all those who follow him will pay the price. I will do my utmost in seeing that through. The man in black didn't say much to that oath, rather he seems amused as he smirked. Yes indeed, I will definitely need your help in the future. If this woman wasn't still of use, I would have longed killed her. She thinks she can tempt me with that level of beauty? I've seen countless more at a scale far beyond her own in the past. She's nothing but average in comparison to those. Outer Domain 2. If there's nothing else, you can go back now. Also, have Elder Cloudless come see me on your way out. Yes, Monarch. Making a small smile, Yun Ruoxi happily retreated. Shortly after she left, an old man wearing a gray ashen robe stepped through the door and arched his fist. Monarch. When the man saw who has come, his expression finally lifted so slightly despite the gloom remaining on the surface. Elder Cloudless, I called you because I wanted to ask you something. That Yun Ruoxi, you are certain she's the only one who can deal with Deed Song? Tens of thousands of years ago, the demon realm was thriving and overwhelmed humanity in its all. Only that single woman could stand up and resist him. Even though she ultimately failed to conquer the demons, she's nevertheless made Deed Song show respect towards his foe. I need her power, otherwise it will be impossible to compete with that bastard after he grows big enough. Monarch, I've calculated using my best capabilities already, there should be no mistake. I do not understand either on why such a magnificent woman like that would devolve into the way she is now. Elder Cloudless also frowns, his voice breathing a helpless air since he didn't understand either. If it's not a mistake, then I want you to keep a close watch on that Yun Ruoxi. I can't have her dying on me until I make full use of her. If she gets caught in the celestial realm, not even I can snatch her back from Deed Song's watch. He only managed to break through all the watches of the demon realm thanks to Deed Song's disappearance on Earth. There won't be another chance like that again unless he personally go for the rescue, and that's impossible since he couldn't leave his own domain. I understand, Monarch. I'll see to it that Yun Ruoxi doesn't leave our watch again. Nothing will happen while under my protection. Elder Cloudless slightly bowed to show he understood. Another thing, the woman I sent to the demon realm failed. She not only couldn't steal the item I instructed, she also failed to kill Deed Song's sister. The man huffs a grunt in displeasure. Naturally, the woman he's referring to would be the white fox saved by the demon princess. Just thinking of the failure and betrayal would leave a bad taste in this monarch's mouth. Fortunately, not all was lost. Di Shaowan didn't die, but that state teacher guy did. Without a right arm to help Deed Song meant there's less people around to investigate themselves. Elder Cloudless only made a bittersweet smile at his lord's report. He was against the idea of sending that stupid fox for the mission in the very beginning, and now it's given the demon realm a warning as a wake-up call, meaning it wouldn't be as easy from now on if they wished to attack. However displeased he might be inwardly, the old man knew he couldn't say that aloud. Monarch, that won't be an issue. The demon realm won't be able to turn waves the way they are right now, nor would they be able to attack us here in this domain. Bang! Without indication, the man swiped everything off the table and shattered the cups near himself, that voice raging, Elder Cloudless, what do you mean by that? Are you implying I'm afraid of Deed Song? If he comes, then I will make sure he never leaves my domain alive. The mouth of the elder twitched at that outburst but didn't say more. He's been with the guy for a very long time. He knows all too well about the man's temper and how easily irritated he could get. Of course, Monarch, the demon realm is not your opponent. Deed Song will always be a loser before yourself. Outer Domain 3. This remark actually made the man feel much better inside, causing that expression to lighten up. That's right, he will always be the loser before myself. If there's nothing else you need to report, then you can go back down. I want your full attention on that Yun Ruoxi. Nothing is to happen to her. First assessing the monarch's mood some more, Elder Cloudless grew hesitant but decided to speak his mind anyways. Monarch, there's actually one more thing on my mind, I'm just uncertain if I should say. What's the matter? It's about that Yun Ruoxi. Cloudless treaded carefully since he knows his following words would be dangerous. There's been rumors floating about with the ladies in your harem. They've already heard about your order of saving her. Everyone believes you are interested and wants to make her your concubine. This includes Yun Ruoxi herself with the way she acts before the others. Hearing this, the man not only didn't get angry and actually laughed. If she is her former self, then I would perhaps be interested, but she's so self-centric that it disgusts me with the current iteration. In fact, I would have killed her myself if she didn't have some use remaining. Pausing after realizing he's gone a bit too far in that canted remark, but if she really wants to be my woman, then I won't mind taking her into my harem. That's only if she could help me deal with Song, that is. Enough, let her be. As long as she's within the domain, then she could do whatever she likes. Yes, monarch. Elder Cloudless cusps his fist in compliance and retreated. He did not want to continue disturbing his liege now that he's got his questions answered. After the door closed, the man slowly closed his eyes and inhaled a deep breath. If I can break into the true celestial rank, then this domain will no longer be able to trap me. Unfortunately, the goal continues to escape my grasp yet again. Ever since the establishment of the main world where recorded history came into existence, only 2 individuals were known to have reached the true celestial level. The first being Song, the great demon king from 1,000,000 years ago, the second being a human heroine who managed to defy all odds and overcome her oppressors. Of course, there's also Heavenly Flame Monarch who almost reached that level as well, but he perished after using his own body as a medium to seal off the various domains from the main world, thus disqualifying him from that roster. So what if none had ever broken into that level since those 2? It doesn't mean I can't. Suddenly, a faint cackle began to escape the man's mouth like some sort of great villain. The guy's not delusional or conceited though, despite the confident statement. He's got a plan. Aside from making a breakthrough using one's own ability, there's also a second method to achieving true godhood, and that was using a celestial heart, the essence of a true celestial. Now this would be where She comes into play with the plan. He has no way to get his hands on a true celestial heart, of course, but he does have the supposed new incarnation of that lady. By using her and another item to rip the heart from her soul, he could then step into a whole new stage. At that point, what couldn't he do? Destroy Song? That would be a simple point of his finger by then. Of course, there's the issue with the missing item. He still doesn't have it, and that's currently in the demon realm. It's the main reason he sent the fox lady over there. It's to steal the other key item in High Grand Plan. She's beating one monarch's residence. In the back garden, She had her head down before a different woman who held exceptional beauty. Yet instead of a rosy picture here in this flowery backyard, there's only contemptuous looks shooting towards the former from the maids that's also present. Shi, you just walked out of the monarch's study, didn't you? Cocking her chin high, this madam sounded exasperated. I told you not to approach my husband before, did you not hear me? Resentful as she may be, the old witch bit her lip and held in that temper. Second madam, I don't know what you're talking about. Ha! The one known as Second Madam huffs a grunt and got into her face. What are you saying about not knowing? You think you can become the mistress of the manor just because you were brought here? I'm telling you, his monarchness will never favor an insignificant person like you. Clenching her fist at the insult, the old witch nevertheless forces a smile. Second madam, if his monarchness doesn't like me, then why did he save an insignificant person like I? With his power, he could take in any woman that he fancies, yet he chose me. Growing more confident as she speaks, since my life was saved by his monarchness, I will remain loyal to him throughout my life. You want me to leave? I fear that won't be happening. She's never been one to take things lying down, not in the Celestial Palace, and especially not here where there's an egotistic bitch who's holding her in contempt. Shut up. Su Ying, second madam, raises her hand and slapped down, causing the old witch's face to get red and swollen. There's even a trace of blood leaking from the mouth as a result. She offended me with her disrespectful attitude. Come tie her up and whip her for me. Grinding her teeth, the second madam orders, as long as she doesn't die, then do not stop. Before she came, she's the most beloved concubine of the monarch. Sure, there are other females coming and going at other times, but their position never threatened her own. Then that incident occurred. Su Ying had just overheard of what her husband did to save Shi and went to make trouble for the old witch. Yet instead of siding with herself, The man reprimanded his own wife before the servants. How could she ever endure such humiliation? Therefore, as the second madam of this manor, she must get payback and redeem her own pride. You? What are you guys doing? Yun Ruo, she exclaims, her arms flailing at those who are coming to restrain herself. Currently in the monarch's estate, there are no first madams since the guy didn't take a main wife yet. They're all concubines, as such Su Ying had the biggest say. After a while, the old witch has been tied to an old tree. Pa! The whip came down hard as it hit her body. The old witch felt the sting for sure as the torturous device smashed against the flesh, but more than the physical pain, she's more hurt on a mental level since her clothes are now torn and her important parts starting to show like some sort of parading circus show. Smirking at success in humiliating her competition, Su Ying the second madam halted the whipping with a wave after seeing the scarred face. I forgot, your face was injured before you came here. Did the one from the celestial realm not teach you enough? How dare you come here to seduce another's husband? I bet it's because you tried the same thing on the main world that got your face destroyed, ha! During this period, Yun Ruo she has been using the medicine she borrowed from the monarch's treasury to heal her own wounds. Sure, there's still a scar on the cheek, but it's much shallower due to the medicine in recent days. Yun Ruo she's beating, too. His monarchness won't let you go for doing this to me. Spitting blood as she speaks, Yun Ruo she glared daggers at Su Ying the second madam. The old witch was truly furious inside and hated Chu Yi God right now. If he had chosen herself, never would she have done all those crimes, nor be forced into this domain and suffer at the hands of others. For one thing, she never liked the monarch and never asked to be his bride. Then out of nowhere the other harem ladies suddenly ganged up on herself, claiming she wants to be the mistress of this place? What the heck? If this woman couldn't secure her own husband's heart, then what right does she have to come bite at others? She has nothing to do with this, okay? Pa! Another whip lashed down, sending her clothes into a stained red and causing the old witch to shriek. I will definitely make this bitch and all these people pay. They will regret doing this to me. How dare you stare at me like that? Su Ying coldly smirks at her captive. Go, whip her more. Whip her until she can't even recognize herself. The pain continued to come, and as it came so did the twisted sense of reality befalling the old witch. To say her soul was growing more like a true monster was no understatement at this point. From standing at the peak of the world to the very bottom of the hole, nobody would come out of that unscathed. It's only compounded by experiencing this sort of indignation. Give it to me. The second madam could tell the hits weren't having the added effect of what she wanted due to that hateful glare. So, she decides to do it herself by ripping the blood-soaked whip from the maid's hand. Yun Ruo, you better remember this. You're nothing but a pest from the celestial realm, you don't deserve my husband. Gnashing her teeth, the madam leaves nothing back from her swing. However, instead of the flesh-tearing sound of blood splattering everywhere, a powerful hand had grabbed hold of the other end of the whip in the last second. Who husband? The familiar face sent Su Ying stuttering, her face a total green as the panic exploded from the heart. Su Ying, it looks like I've been overly spoiled with you. You're so brave that you're going against my orders now? The monarch's words brought chill to all those who heard it despite there being no force in his tone. What a problematic woman. If this Yun Ruo she wasn't still useful, I wouldn't even get involved. Such a hassle. And this Su Ying. She's getting too lawless because I pampered her so well. She knows full well I'm protecting this Yun Ruo, yet she still moved against her. Husband. It's Yun Ruo, she insulted me and spewed derogatory words at me. Unfortunately for this second madam, she never got to finish her excuse before the man waved his hand to slap her to the ground. Yun Ruo she's beating, 3. In this moment, Su Ying shed beads of tears as she gazed up at the very man whom should have protected herself. She's truly hurt by the twist of event. How can he treat me like this? And over another woman like that Yun Ruo too. Guards, take Su Ying away to a cell. She's to be executed at a later date. This order struck the second madam hard like a thunderbolt, sending her whole body shuddering as a cord snapped in her mind. In her panic-stricken haste, she clings onto the man's leg to plead, Husband, I know I'm wrong. Please, I know I'm wrong. Please don't put me in a cell, please. I won't dare do it again. In light of his own beloved concubine begging himself, this monarch ruthlessly kicked her aside like some sort of filth. Not only that, his voice now sounded cold and distant, similar to that of strangers. What are you bunch still waiting around for? Drag her away and execute her immediately. When he pampers someone, then he could treat them like a gemstone. However, no one was allowed to get in between his own interests. Imagine this woman actually killing Yun Ruoxi with this incident. What then? He would lose his chance at becoming a true celestial. Yes, monarch. Two of the guards near the exit hurriedly ran over. They didn't show any mercy in the way they handled the crying madam. Mere moments later, there were no longer any more crying or pleading, only a loud snapping sound and an eerie calm hanging over the air and all the tensed souls in this garden. Bring Yun Ruoxi down from there and take her to the back wing of the manor. She can recuperate there. Also, send some of my personal attendants to oversee her recovery and safety. I do not want to see another event like this today, understand? The man roars, his voice reaching all of the estate like a booming soundbox for its occupants. He's always been like this, doing as he pleased and discarding those he deemed useless or unfit. This also holds true for Yun Ruoxi in this case. Sure, he has use for her still, but his gaze never once fell upon the lady or that scarred face. Because she's not worth his effort to do even that. All she's useful for was to be a sacrifice to further his own goal, nothing more and nothing less. The old witch didn't notice the lack of attention though. The lady's so tired that she could barely open her eyes due to the exhausting of the pain. I knew it, his monarchness has fallen for me. Otherwise, why else would he kill his most beloved concubine for me? Don't be mistaken though, Yun Ruoxi, she doesn't like the man in the slightest, not even a sliver. However, that doesn't mean she doesn't enjoy being wooed by powerful individuals. Basking in the glory has always been her thing. These guards naturally aren't aware of the vile witch's inner thoughts and dutifully carried out their order of carrying the injured woman to the back wing. They also brought a healer over to treat her wounds without delay. After everyone left, Yun Ruoxi laid atop of the bed and mindlessly stared up into the ceiling beam, her fingers slowly moving across those scars on her cheeks. The monarch's appearance can't be compared to Di Tsang and Chu Yi God, but his strength and background is beyond theirs. Such a man is protecting me. By Yen, I am once again able to step on your face again. You will always be the loser before myself. After murmuring that to herself, she sneered and cackled a laugh. Just you wait, it won't be long before I go back with such a man by my side. You will fall over in jealousy after seeing me, just like how I gazed at you in the past. Yun Ruoxi's beating for spring comes and go, bringing in a new year with the passage of time. During this period, Bai Yen had not once stepped out of the Bronze Gate's world, spending all her time in steady training by following the knowledge of the ancient book. Bai Xiachen wanted to stick around, of course, but the boy's been sent back to the palace since she needed quietness and calm. Besides, it's not good for her son to spend so much time in this small place when he's so young. As for the 4 sacred beasts, they did their duties beautifully, quietly standing guard outside and never complaining despite keeping the same posture like their statue counterparts. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise rocked the mountain through the Bronze Gate, followed by a monumental surge of power shaking the air and affecting all living things in the vicinity. Meanwhile, at the same time, Di Xiaowan had been snuggling with her niece and nephew when this loud commotion caught their attention. Stopping in her act of reading them a bedtime story, she made a surprised face. Sister-in-laws reached the higher level of the demi-divine lord already? She only broke through to the middle level 7 months ago. How did sister-in-law make another breakthrough this quickly? Is it really that easy to make advances once you're that strong? Something is weird about all this. Unknown to Di Xiaowan, the reason for the rapid progress was due to the ancient book by Yen found inside the Bronze Gate. Her first step into the demi-divine lord level was due to her own grasping and efforts, while these new advances are through following the instructions and knowledges provided by others. What's more, the Demon Queen didn't only have knowledge anymore, she also has the added support of the great amulet All Heavens. She's tapped into its mysterious powers right now. It's just that. When Bai Yen sent her own consciousness into the world of all heaven, all she found was nothing but white fog in which she stood. Thankfully, this foggy substance wasn't just for show inside that dimension, it's pure energy used by cultivators. Rather than to absorb the spiritual particles from the air, the demon queen only needed to tap into the amulet from now on, thus giving her an infinite source of energy. So, knowledge and resources at hand, who wouldn't be able to make rapid breakthroughs? Auntie, what is a high demi-divine lord? Di Ling Yen, the peachy baby girl, asks with a smile on her face. Is it something very powerful? Of course it's great. Di Xiaowan gently caresses her niece's hair as she explained, from now on your mother will be as strong as your father. Brightness shined in the baby girl's eye. Then does that mean I can be as strong as father and mother as well in the future? Chuckling at her niece's ambition, yes, our adorable and sweet Ling Yen will definitely grow up to be as beautiful and strong as your mother. But you mustn't be like your father, only follow your mother so you can protect your good auntie here too, okay? Poof. Her words had just come out of her mouth when Jean Tian, the little glutton, suddenly reverted back to his fox form at the other side of the bedside. He's looking all sad and pitiful as he laid sprawled on the ground. Auntie, I'm hungry. Jean Tian weakly cries, that belly grumbling in protest. Does it mean I won't have to go hungry anymore after mother comes back? Father is always busy, and auntie often forgets to feed me. I remember, 1. Di Xiaowan immediately slaps her own head in realization. Oh crap, I forgot to prepare food for Jean Tian again today. Ling Yen, why don't you go see your mother first? Me and your brother will come afterwards after I get him something to eat. Okay. The peachy baby girl happily jumps off of the bed and gave her aunt a big huge hug before heading off. Atop of the mountain, the 4 sacred beasts continues their quiet work of standing station in their respective spots when their mistress slowly strode out of the bronze gate. Mother! It's exactly then the little figure of Di Ling Yen rushed over from the foot of the mountain and threw herself into her mother's arm. Gently embracing her tiny little daughter, Bai Yen felt very pleased to be welcomed by her eldest and youngest daughter. Xianxia, Ling Yen, I'm so happy to see you too. Come, let's go back home. Unbeknownst to everyone, the clouds not far away had become a dark looming mass above their heads, which was not supposed to happen since everywhere else in the sky was perfectly clear this night. Di Ling Yen took notice when she looked up since it confused her little mind, but she didn't pay too much attention to it since Bai Yan's hands ate up most of her attention. If only this baby girl had spent just a moment longer to investigate this, then she would have surely noticed the oddity and strangeness looming from within. Mother, Ling Yen misses you so much, but you always only take Big Brother with you and not me. Speaking of the last sentence, the baby girl's voice carried the grievance of a child that's been left behind by their parent. Does mother prefer Big Brother over me? Why is it always me and Jean Tian who gets left behind every time? You're too young, Ling Yen, but once you're older then I will of course take you with me. Mother loves you always. Feeling guilty inside for not being with her daughter, Bai Yen gives the daughter a rub on the head to show she cared. Then I will hurry and grow faster, that way I can follow mother too. In her happy fit, Di Ling Yen went ahead to give the demon queen a big lovable kiss on the cheek. Then jumping down from those arms, she also gives her older brother a good peck on the cheek as well. I love Big Brother too. The peachy girl's words were truly a delight for Bai Xianxia. Nearly melting, he smiles like a fool and nods in glee. That's my little sister, you are so cute. She's cuter than Wang Xiaopeng's chubby sister. Speaking of his friend the chubby boy back when he lived in the human world, the steam bun hasn't seen him for so long. Naturally he's starting to miss that friend he made during his younger years. I better make some time in the future to go visit the Misty Fairy house and find him. I'm sure he misses me too. With that thought in mind, the boy didn't delay and promptly spoke his wish. Mother, let's go back to the human world next and visit Grandshifu and them. I miss everyone over there, and I miss my friends like Wang Xiaopeng and Nangong Zhuan. That actually caught Bai Yen off guard and left her in a momentary trance. Indeed, she too hasn't seen her relatives in a long time, and there's Nangong Zhuan, her supposed disciple from the Lu Hua kingdom. Back then she only fancied the skinny boy's constitution due to it being suitable for alchemy, Plus the orphaned prince's childhood had a lot of similarities to her own youth, that's why she took him in as a disciple. It's just that she never did teach him anything, nor did she take care of him. With all these years later, it really does beg to wonder how he's doing. Perhaps he's grown into a fine young teen like her own son? Okay Xianxia, let's go back in the next few days, I miss them too. Making a faint smile, Bai Yan leans down to give two kids a big hug. And I'm sure your grandchiefess will like to meet your little brother and sister too. After all, those three old fellas are one of the first people to care about us without any other motive. I remember, too, if it had not been for the three chiefess bringing her back to the Holy Land, Bai Yan never would have been able to securely make it through those hard times. For that, she would forever be grateful in this lifetime. Let's go, holding her son's hand with her free one and the other girl against her body, Bai Yan led the way for the bottom of the mountain. It's then as if to match their distancing footsteps, the lightning cloud in the sky rumbled, sending the baby girl shrinking in her head against that chest for safety. Bai Yan knows why her daughter would behave this way and smoothly appeased that nervous heart with a cooing. There's no need to be afraid, sweetie, mother here will protect you. In light of the reassurance, the peachy girl only nodded slightly and continued to curl herself into a tiny ball against the woman's chest. She simply couldn't get a peace of mind unless she does so. Of course, Bai Yan also noticed the rumbling from the stormy clouds not far above their heads. The demon queen didn't know why either, but the sensation she got from that puff of water was familiarity. As to why she would get such a sensation, that continues to escape her grasp. Perhaps the demon realm won't be peaceful for very long after this. But no matter, I will continue to do what I've done and protect those close to me like always. Ling Yan, Xianxia, from this point don't leave the palace on your own. I believe something big will happen soon. Locking her brow into a furrow, Bai Yan's eyes showed a touch of unease which worried herself as her thoughts ran wild. Fortunately, the soft cuddly body of her own daughter brought herself back to reality soon after. Gently wrapping her cheek against the child's, the demon queen grows firm in her heart. Whoever moves my kids will pay for it, I will bury whoever they are in the shadows. After walking down the demon mountain, Bai Yan soon came to attention with the handsome and demonic man waiting for herself. Likewise, Di Zong also saw his wife and immediately disappeared and reappeared in front of her. He didn't wait for another second and brought her into a warm embrace despite their own daughter remaining in between themselves. Yen, his voice magnetic yet slightly hoarse, the fond sound of a male being able to hold onto their destined partner. Di Zong, I remember everything now. With closed eyes, Bai Yan states this bombshell of a news. In the year of closed-door training, she's recalled a lot of things that she's forgotten. Like the price they paid due to the celestial realm's interference, and the pain caused by those who wish them harm. And most importantly, how this man sacrificed his own powers to resurrect herself into a new life. Di Zong always appeared cold and unfazed on the surface to everyone around himself, but when he's with his wife he could be the kindest and gentlest person in this world. Imagine having said woman confess she's remembered all their fond memories, there's no way he wouldn't be moved. Whether it be 1,000 years ago or now, you are my only wife. The Demon King firmly says this, his eyes strong and reliable. Ling Yan, let's not disturb father and mother while they talk about love. Bai Xianxia reaches over and picked the baby sister out of their mother's arm. We can go find Auntie and Jean Tian. Okay, the baby complies despite not understanding why. Nevertheless, Di Ling Yan understood her older brother had his reasoning and only needed to listen. Just like that, the two kids were gone from the base of the mountain. I remember, 3. Beyond the celestial realm, there are various domains controlled by different monarchs that used to wage war against one another. However, due to the interference of heavenly flame monarch's sacrifice in creating the Great Barrier, the masters of their own worlds were forced to stay put and halt their endless strife. Of course, this arrangement didn't sit well with the other rulers since their own world has become their own personal prison. They wanted freedom, thus began the grand plan of shattering the chains around their necks. But then something unexpected occurred not long ago which stirred the otherwise peaceful pot in their arrangement for one reason. Someone has finally broken into the monarch level after the erection of the Great Barrier, thus bringing forth a new domain into the outer void. This shouldn't have brought such a huge wave to these rulers, and it didn't at first, yet the barrier began to loosen its grip after their investigation. It should have been a good thing. Who wouldn't want to get out of their prison, right? Well, the issue was that there's only one possibility for this sudden change, and that was the very creator itself has returned. That's right, the man whom caused panic and fear among these rulers are back. Therefore, it took no time at all for all the domains to send their most trusted subordinates out to further investigate. They must confirm the identity of this new arrival lest they get any peace of mind. At this time, Ling Yan continues to curl herself against her older brother's body for safety, her eyes blurry due to the wet tears slowly brewing in the corner. Big brother, I'm scared. Those lightning bolts outside are so similar to the ones that hit Uncle Winger, Bird Guard. That day, will it hit us too? I'm worried about Uncle Winger since he refused to come back with us. Did something happen to him? Perhaps it's the fear doing its work, but the baby girl's complexion had grown pale after saying that. Xianxia's heart trembled at this. Patting his little sister's body to soothe her nervousness. It's okay, Ling Yan, Grandpa Dragonflame, Dragon Ancestor, said your Uncle Winger is very skilled, he will be all right. Really? She tightly bit down on her lips. Although Uncle Winger started out by working for that bad lady, he didn't listen to her in the end. I know he's good at heart. I'm not very smart, but I do know the good should be rewarded with good fortune. In the heart of the precious baby girl, that bird man wasn't just her personal escort or guard, but a friend that went through a lot together. Xianxia did not respond right away, only taking her words in as he mulled over what to say. If Ling Yan is still worried, I can go check up on him, how about it? That idea immediately brought a ray of sunshine into her eyes, but that glimmer quickly died down after realizing what that meant. Big brother doesn't know where Uncle Winger went, and, compared to Uncle Winger, I also don't want Big brother to face an accident. If not, we can go find Mother for help, is that okay? Mother must have a way to help me find Uncle Winger. For this innocent child, there's nothing her own mother couldn't do. Okay. Crouching down to her little sister's height, Xianxia rubs her head in a doting manner. You must have scared by that lightning just now. Climb on, I'll carry you. Encounter 1. Okay. Climbing up from behind, Ling Yan the peachy baby girl didn't object to the idea of getting a piggyback ride since her older brother's figure appeared the safest. Boom. In a forest that's perennially dimmed by the dense shrubbery, lightning pounded away at a certain location where a severely injured man stood. There's hardly any color left on that face, and even more blood continued to gurgle out of that mouth. This time, am I really going to die? Closing his eyes at what's to come, the bird man reminisces back to his first meeting with Bai Yan and her daughter Ling Yan. Inexplicably, despite the dire spot he's in right now with the lightning clouds ready to pound down again to finish himself off, the guy actually formed a thin arcing smile due to the ray of light in his heart. If I die, I won't be able to stay by the princess's side, nor can I repay the queen's grace again. Back then it was you who saved me from the darkness, yet I mistakenly thought of others as you. I thought I could use my life to protect your daughter as amends for your virtue, but it looks like I'm going to break my word. Another rumble from above told him then the time was near. Queen, princess, if there is a next life, I will never recognize the wrong person again. I will use my life to repay you. Boom. Following those final thoughts, Winger's stoic figure crumbled, crashing down to the ground where only scorched earth awaited his unmoving body. Demon Realm's Palace. Ling Yan was keeping herself tightly wrapped to her older brother's back as she was being carried around when a tense sadness gripped her little heart for no apparent reason. For this reasoning, tears oozed out of those eyes in waves. Xianxia felt the wet patches on his back of course and grew frantic, hurrying to lie the little baby down to check up on her. Ling Yan, what's wrong? The baby girl merely shook her head. Big brother, I don't know, but I just want to cry. Don't cry, Ling Yan. If you cry, I will feel very bad if you do. Finding himself useless against that weeping, he instinctively reached over to wipe some of those droplets. Unfortunately for them both, the younger sibling didn't find the gesture comforting. In fact, the unease in her heart only grew with each passing second. Eventually, that sobbing weep blew into a loud, clamoring cry. Can you tell Big Brother here what's wrong at least? Gone white by this point due to his own inability, Xianxia flails around with fluster showing across his face. Ling Yan. Suddenly, an anxious cry came from the rear. By the time the baby girl turned her head around, a pair of hands had already reached over to pick her up to bring the child into a warm, gentle hold. Her cry brought aching hurt to even Bai Yan, who overheard the noise and came running. Mother, what's happening to her? Bai Xianxia anxiously asks with his miserable expression. She's been crying non-stop. I don't know how to comfort her like this. Do you know what's going on? By this time others were also being attracted to this location due to the constant tearing. The most notable would be Daoist, who stood immediately came over with his daunting aura to wrap his arms around the wife and daughter. Encounter 2. It's going to be all right, Ling Yan. Mother is here and will always protect you. Tell me what happened, okay? Watery still in the eye, the baby girl sobs some more and starts explaining despite the hiccups. I don't know anything. I only feel very uncomfortable inside. Mother, I want hug me please. Okay, don't cry anymore. Mother here will keep holding you. Allowing her daughter's body to squirm closer until those tiny arms are firmly wrapped around her neck, Bai Yan's face showed pain as she patted that back to comfort the baby. Mother, is Ling Yan hungry? Jean Tian, the little glutton, suggests from one side while biting his own thumb. In this baby boy's view, his twin must be hungry because he also wants to cry whenever he's hungry. It's my fault, I didn't leave any food for her. Think of this. The little glutton's head hung low in a dejected manner, those eyes full of guilt and anger at himself. Mother, Bai Xianxia seemed to recall something important then. Ling Yan told me those lightning clouds in the sky is similar to the ones that hit Uncle Winger. Could it be that he's in trouble? Winger the bird man fought to the death in order to protect the baby girl. That's why in her heart that person was akin to family. Coupled with the fact that she used her own blood to save the poor guy, it's no wonder she's built up a connection with him. Bai Yan's expression undoubtedly showed a change after hearing that long-forgotten name. In light of herself not doing much for Winger a millennium ago, the guy went through huge obstacles like breaking out of that prison in order to find herself. Yet that hope and ordeal only got rewarded with an imposter like Yun Ruo, she using her amulet as deception. There's no denying it, she's had a hand in causing all the pain the Birdman has endured over the years. Xianxia, you stay behind and watch your sister, I'll go with your father and look. Handing the girl to her eldest, Diong, let's go. Okay. Daoist's frown showed he didn't like the idea but complied anyways. He's never one to reject his wife's wishes after all. In another patch of land, Winger's body laid lifelessly atop of a pool of blood like he's truly gone from this world. In light of this, the thunderclouds in the sky never dissipate as if it wanted to destroy his very soul before it would recede. When Bai Yan and Daoist arrived in this area after following the noise, this was the dreadful picture they saw. Immediately and without hesitation, the demon queen loosened her grip around the husband's hand in order to rush over to give aid. Careful! Daoist grabs hold of his wife suddenly and pulled her back in the nick of time as the flash struck down and left a devastating crater in her former spot. As displeased as he might be at being disregarded due to another man, the Demon King never once acts carelessly when it came to his wife. Yen, are you hurt anywhere? He nervously examines her for any signs of injury. Encounter 3, Scram you filth! Daoist's enraged roar rocks the air, sending both tree and rock flying due to the shockwave. As a result of this release, even the dark clouds above the sky dispersed in one full swoop, thus revealing the open sky once again. Daoist, I'm going down to check on Winger first, he should still be alive. I can sense the wisp of life left in him. If I act fast he can still be saved. Bai Yan's urgency told how dire the Birdman's condition was and that there's no time for delay. Understanding this, the Demon King didn't stop her despite the dangers that might include. However, the sort of perplexed and tied look on his face when gazing down at the charred husk hinted how troubled he felt inside. The Palace of the Demon Realm. Ling Yan continues to shrink her body against her older brothers as she quietly wept until she eventually felt asleep due to fatigue. Ling Yan, be good, Father and mother will be back soon, so sleep. Your Uncle Winger won't face any accident. Bai Xiachen continues to lull this to her since he discovered the words helped steady the baby's mood. Unlike a few years ago, this steam bun had definitely grown much more mature compared to when he first came out of the Holy Land. In fact, he's now capable of acting as the shield, the reliable mountain to be clung upon. Half an hour later. Brother, hug. Di Lingyan suddenly stirred during her nap as the thunderous clapping stopped in the sky. Good Lingyan, Big Brother here will give you a hug, so there's no need to be afraid. We are all here with you and won't go anywhere. That cooing did the job as good as it could and helped the baby settle down, thus allowing her to return to that sleep. Pleased with the results. The lightnings are gone, that means mother and father will likely come back soon. Originally, the boy wanted to return his attention back to his sibling after muttering this to no one in specific, but his gaze quickly caught onto the moon above his own head then. He couldn't describe it, but it's even redder than normal compared to his own memories. This strange feeling left Bai Xiachen very uncomfortable, causing him to subconsciously hold onto Di Lingyan some more. Stirring again due to the grip around herself, the baby girl rubs her sleepy eyes and spoke, "Brother, what's going on?" "It's all right, nothing's wrong." Realizing he's messed up, the steam bun hurries to appease the baby. "Sleep Lingyan, the lightning has stopped so it won't be so loud anymore. I need to make a quick trip outside and we'll be back real fast." Ooh. Not knowing why, Di Lingyan puckered her lips into a sad face and pulled at her older brother's hand. "You promise? You will come back fast? Don't worry, when have Big Brother here lied to you?" After saying this, he makes a reassuring smile and turned for the exit. Unbeknownst to the boy though, the baby girl didn't stay put like he wanted and instead got up. Looking up to stare at the eerie-looking moon as well, she murmurs to herself, "Big Brother isn't here, so I'll go find Jean Tian. Sleeping alone is scary." Encounter 4. She knew that her older brother Bai Xiachen had something important to do, so she won't be an anchor and hold him back by making unreasonable demands. Climbing out of the bed on her own efforts, she walked out of the bedroom with nothing but a thin layer of garment left on her body that made her appear all the much cuter. "No, this isn't right. Jean Tian is more of a scaredy cat than I am, so going to him won't help, and Auntie most likely fell asleep too. I cannot disturb her." Patting that little head, Di Lingyan makes a realization as she came to a halt. "If not, I can go to the Demon Mountain. I'm sure Brother Little Rice will be able to protect me." Thinking of this, the baby princess immediately turned towards the direction of where she last remembered where that mountain stood. As to why she couldn't be specific and know the way, that's because she's too small and only went there once. Plus, there's not a single palace maid or attendant around for some reason. How could she ask for directions like the first time around? So in the end the girl got lost, or specifically unable to figure out the proper way. It's exactly then when the child's about to lose her way and want to go back to her own bedroom, a bright light of white blinds her. Squinting those eyes until it's adapted to this sudden burst of ray, she suddenly found herself standing before a mountain radiating a sacred light. Bursting with excitement and glee at her own fortune, this baby princess didn't even think twice at how strange and messed up this occurrence was. Mountains don't move on their own, and neither should it appear out of nowhere when she still hasn't left the palace grounds yet. This should be the Demon Mountain, I shouldn't be wrong. But why is it different to the last time I visited? Unable to figure out why the terrain looks different compared to before, she continues to stroll further in without any forethought. Before long, a cave comes into her view. Giggling at this scene, I know, it must be Sister Suzaku and Brother Little Rice playing hide and seek with me. They must be hiding inside the cave and want me to go find them. Once I do, I won't need to be scared anymore. Thinking of this, the little baby disregarded any fear she might have had and toddled into the dark tunnel. Compared with the magnificent glow of the Demon Mountain, this strange and out-of-place cave was dark and damp with a smell of muddiness lingering in the air. It's indescribable and spooky that's borderline unsettling to the nerves. Di Lingyan may be young and innocent, but she's not immune to being scared of the spooks in this world. The more she went inside, the tenser and more afraid her body became until the bad emotions started to resurface again. Finally, unable to take it anymore due to everything being all too quiet, the baby attempts to turn tail and flee when it happened. It's a strange flash of red that shocked her. This scared the daylights out of Di Lingyan, of course, and sent the girl into a confused and frantic panic. Unable to control her little body, the princess trips over herself in a failed attempt to run. Woohoo, big brother, save me. She finally cries out in sobbing tears, the fear taking hold in all its glory. No matter how mature Di Lingyan behaves before the public, she's nevertheless only 2 years old. A baby at best. There's no way this child could restrain her emotions and overcome the fears of the darkness and unknown. This was especially true when she's all alone in a dark, damp cave with a strange flash of red popping out of nowhere like a ghost just swooping out of the ground. Shut up! A cold and disruptive voice snaps at her weeping cry. You cry again and I'll immediately eat you. Stalling at the sound, Di Lingyan actually stops her crying and slowly peeked through those fingers that's covering her own eyes. That's where she saw the man further up front. Dressed in a long red robe, this individual had all his limbs chained to the wall. Furthermore, the guy also had an abnormally long set of hair. Not the messy and ragged look of an unkempt individual though, it's sleek and smooth that gave him a more devilish air of troubling allure. Encounter 5. Di Lingyan stared at the man in a dazed-like fashion, not blinking even once despite the aggressive glare. In this world, the best-looking man she's ever seen would be her own father, but in comparison to this stranger, he's definitely a challenger. Perhaps, likely the most handsome of them all beside her own father even. But, upon remembering the words that came out of this man's mouth, her initial fear and panic was immediately replaced by anger. Did you eat Sisters Suzaku and them? You give them back to me, give them back to me. The man squinted his eyes at the pipsqueak of a baby like he's musing on what to do with her. Then suddenly he bursts into a hysterical laugh as those irises flickered with an eerie and cold glow. Little one, I will eat you if you make another noise. Already unstable in her emotions, Di Lingyan didn't need any shoving to break out into a big cry again. You are a big baddie. You ate Sister Suzaku and Brother Little Rice. You also threaten me. I'm going to tell father and mother. They will come avenge everyone. Woo. Ooh, no wonder I couldn't find Sister Suzaku and them along the way. They've been eaten by this big baddie. Father and mother will definitely come and make him pay. The man's frowning face grew rapidly more impatient. I told you to be quiet. Did you not hear me? Wah. Sitting her butt on the ground, those tender hands of the baby girl starts rubbing her own eyes as the tears flowed. She's too sad to care about what the other guy says at this point. You ate Sister Suzaku already. What does it matter if you ate me too? Go ahead if you got the ability. If you don't eat me then I will keep crying. You. Black lines appeared across this man's grim-looking face because he's stumped by this thuggish child. Arg. If not for these chains binding me here, I wouldn't have to deal with such a rascal. It's always the children who are the most annoying. Then what do you want to stop crying? Gnashing his teeth, the man asks with twitching eyes. You spit the 4 of them back out then I won't cry. Spit them out. Di Lingyan may still be crying but her eyes are now determined when meeting the other who's directly across from herself. Look here, I've been chained to this spot for countless years. Aside from you, I've never seen another person. Back in his prime in a time where he hasn't been imprisoned here yet, he would never bother to explain himself to some runt. Slander? Insult? So what? He's not going to lower himself in explaining to some insignificant ants, even if those insignificant ants numbered in the millions that ended up putting himself here. Now look at himself? Just to make this child not cry, he's willing to go so low as to explain his own circumstances for the first time in eons. Humiliation. Unbeknownst to this chained man though, meeting Di Lingyan would be his greatest fortune, his destined obstacle to overcome. Unless he puts his cold pride away, the only future that awaits him would be to act as a toy played around by others' finger. Really? Raising her pink and flushed-faced, Di Lingyan's eyes twinkled with light. You really didn't eat Sister Suzaku and them? The man's expression sank into a charcoal black. I've already explained myself once. What more evidence does she want me to say?